Chapter 291. The Black-Clothed Man Used Stellar Transposition. No one could see any energy fluctuation from him, but he could teleport dozens of miles in an instant and appear outside the city. His terrifying gaze swept over the crowd. The people who had just made a solemn vow were now speechless. "I'm here to challenge the heroes of Eastern City. If you don't think you're trash, then come out. The Emperor's son of the human race, the king's bloodline of the demon race, or the head disciple of a Tao realm holy land. You can all come together." The black-clothed man coldly swept his gaze over the crowd and said, "The Emperor's son of the human race, the king's bloodline of the myriad races? He's not a human or an expert of the myriad races." Muyo Tianqian frowned and looked at Nangang Qingyue. The two of them were like water and milk. Their souls were as one, and their hearts were connected. One look was enough. "What? Are you all trash? You don't even have a chance to breathe?" The black-clothed man mocked. His hoarse voice was like a sharp knife that stabbed into people's hearts. "Fuck!" Pucci, a human expert, was about to make a move when his throat was pierced by the black-clothed man. Death energy poured into his body and instantly sealed his life force. Everyone's face was pale as they kept retreating until they were behind Muyo Tianqian and Nangang Qingyue. Seeing that they were wearing the robes of the insane sect, they were overjoyed and looked at them with anticipation. They hoped that they would make a move and provoke Yi Qinghan, or Emperor Yi. At the very least, they had to provoke Shirgu to come out with a brick and smash it wherever he was unhappy. Other than the King of 100 Battles, who would dare to go against him? Muyo Tianqian patted Nangang Qingyue's shoulder and took a step forward. He looked at the black-clothed man and wasn't in a hurry to make a move. He frowned and asked, "Sir, you're not a human or an expert of the myriad races. Could it be that you're an undead spirit?" The grand Tao of Yang wrapped around the golden body. Yang energy was oppressive, and it countered the black-clothed man's death energy. The black-robed man looked down at Muyo Tianqian and laughed in a hoarse voice. He said coldly, "If you want to know my identity, then we'll have to see how much ability you have. You and that little girl behind you should be cultivating a dual cultivation technique. You've actually comprehended the power of yin and yang. You're perfect for this king. You two can become one with me." Muyo Tianqian smiled indifferently. He was indeed very unlucky. Every time he came out, he would definitely encounter something bad. Last time, he met the emperor of the Heavenly Spirit Cat clan. This time he actually met a clan of unknown origin. Moreover, their strength was probably not any weaker than the King of 100 Battles. Hee, this guy is out of luck. How dare he provoke the insane sect? I hope that Emperor Yi or Shirgu will come out of seclusion and destroy this bastard. The people behind Nangang Qingyue were discussing. Their voices weren't loud, but they were exceptionally clear. "Guangzong? What was that? I know the Savage Lands and predict the future, but I've never heard of a sect called the Insane Sect." The corner of the black-robed man's mouth twitched. His 5 claws tore through the void like lightning and went straight for Muyo Tianqian. 9 Suns Heaven Lightning Palm. Hua. Muyo Tianqian didn't retreat. Instead, he attacked with a palm that broke through time and space. Yang energy overflowed into the heavens and swept through the mountains and rivers, causing the people's blood to boil. Boom. The 5 claws tore through the void, but they couldn't break Muyo Tianqian's palm. The two collided and the earth cracked. The aftershock extended to the eastern city, causing the people behind to cough up blood and fly back. Only Nangang Qingyue's clothes fluttered as she narrowed her eyes and looked at the center of the battlefield. Sing Muyo Tianqian and the black-robed man retreated at the same time. That one step was enough to crush the earth. The black-robed man retreated 3 steps and looked at his palm. His flesh was badly mangled and the death energy was suppressed by yang energy. The flesh claw emitted a foul smell as if this body had died hundreds of years ago. Muyo Tianqian's palm was suffused with a black color. He retreated a dozen steps until he was in front of Nangang Qingyue. He looked at the black-robed man in shock. He didn't expect this person to be so powerful. Boom. The two used their strength at the same time and quickly recovered their injured bodies. Light exploded as they used the power of the heavens to attack their opponent. Hua hua hua. Lightning pierced through the galaxy and was caught by Muyo Tianqian. He wanted to use the lightning to kill the black-robed man. Black energy poured out of the black-robed man's body. The death energy was extremely dense and condensed into a large hand that covered the sky. It fiercely slammed towards Muyu Tianqin's body. The two attacks exploded in the sky. The lightning with the strongest yang energy was forcibly torn apart by the black-robed man. Although the large hand that covered the sky became ethereal, it still smashed towards Muyu Tianqin. Xiao, xiao, xiao. Muyu Tianqin's palms formed seals, and an even more terrifying lightning extended for thousands of miles. It came from the end of the mountains and rivers and scared the people into crazily rushing towards the city. They ran to the city walls to watch the battle. The array on the city walls emitted a golden light that blocked the two's attacks. Die for me. The black-robed man was still powerful. He flew into the void and his palms slashed through the mountains and rivers, forming a huge 8 trigrams. 2 black dragons formed from death energy covered the sky and blocked the light. The surroundings of the eastern city fell into darkness. Those with unstable Dao hearts were directly scared to death. Huff, 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 violent winds blew and lightning flashed. Lightning intersected and tore apart the darkness. Everyone could clearly see that Muyu Tianqin had transformed into a 1,000 feet long golden body. He brought lightning with him from the endless wilderness. With a page of scriptures protecting his body, he attacked the black-robed man without hesitation. The black-robed man was even more terrifying. The 2 black dragons were vivid and lifelike. They roared towards the sky as if they were alive. Their 5 claws shattered the heavens as they grabbed towards the lightning. Their large mouths swallowed the mountains and rivers, wanting to directly swallow Muyu Tianqin. Nangong Qingyue's clothes fluttered. The great Tao of Yin coiled around her and blocked off all the evil energy. Her eyes stared fixedly at the sky, fearing that something would happen to Muyu Tianqin. This black-robed man was indeed terrifying. Muyu Tianqin's individual combat strength was already comparable to the 100 Battle King, but he was actually suppressed by this person. Outside the eastern city, the river of stars hung upside down and all living things rapidly retreated. The 2 supreme beings of the same realm were crazily fighting. Muyu Tianqin was at the 4th layer of the Immortal Gate, while the black-robed man had been displaying the combat strength of the 7th layer of the Immortal Gate. He had been suppressing Muyu Tianqin, forcing him step by step, causing Muyu Tianqin's blood to scatter across the battlefield. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Not only were they shocked by the black-robed man, they were also shocked by Muyu Tianqin. An unknown person from the insane sect who had only crossed a dozen or so regions to gain experience in the endless space could actually have such power. If those 100 Battle Kings appeared, how terrifying would that be? Boom boom boom. Hua hua hua. The 2 people were as fast as lightning and incomparably terrifying. They continuously fought in the void, causing the sky to turn dark. They attacked crazily and the 2 separated once again. Muyu Tianqin's face was filled with death energy. He was defeated outside the city walls and crashed into the great array, coughing out blood incessantly. The black-robed man's clothes were unexpectedly not stained with blood. No matter how Muyu Tianqin attacked, he couldn't break through his defense. Brat, I didn't see that your battle strength is not bad. Unfortunately, your realm is a bit lacking and your defense is a bit lacking. I am curious about the origin of that scripture page on your chest. It can actually block my death energy attack. The black-robed man's voice was hoarse and he didn't attack. Now that the city gates were tightly shut and the array was activated, Muyu Tianqin and Nangong Qingyue couldn't escape from his palm. Muyu Tianqin's eyes were suffused with red light, and yang qi shot out in all directions. He tried his best to heal his injured body and block out the death energy. He whispered, "He is wearing a pseudo-emperor robe. We can't break through his defense. I will cover you to leave first and find Emperor Yi or Shirge. The divine zither or pseudo-extreme emperor weapon in their hands might be able to break through his defense. Can you withstand it? If we work together, even if we can't break through the pseudo-emperor robe, we can still defeat him, right?" Nangong Qingyue was worried about Muyu Tianqin. Moreover, the 2 were dual cultivators. If they worked together, their battle strength would definitely increase by 10 times. It's useless. Without a pseudo-emperor weapon, it's impossible to cause him any harm. Muyu Tianqin's voice sank and he forcefully ordered, "Quickly go back. I can withstand it. No. This person wants to kill. Even if we can't break through his defense, at least he can't kill you. Nangong Qingyue stepped forward and stood shoulder to shoulder with Muyu Tianchen. With the power of yin and yang, Muyu Tianchen's injuries were instantly healed and his vitality was rich. Kakik, it's actually the sun-moon yin-yang dual cultivation technique. With the vitality of the two of you, it might be able to help me break through my shackles and achieve the great Tao. The black-robed man was overjoyed and no longer hesitated. His palms turned jet black and the surrounding laws were forcefully conscripted as he crazily pounced at the two. This person is an undead spirit. I didn't expect an undead spirit to be able to walk out of the forbidden grounds now. Muyu Tianchen could instantly confirm that this child was definitely an undead spirit. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to recognize the sun-moon yin-yang dual cultivation technique. Without hesitation, he clasped his hands together with Nangong Qingyue. Yin and yang merged, and the two seemed to have fused into one. With one hand each, they formed seals at the same time. Yin and yang, the sun, and moon appeared at the same time. With a push of their palms, the sun and moon appeared and pierced through the void. The scorching sun and moon radiated light in all directions and suppressed everything as they charged at the black-robed man. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The temperature outside Eastern City rose as if the sun and moon were truly rising. It wanted to burn 10,000 miles and activate the array within the quasi-emperor robe. The emperor's might was vast and mighty, completely activating the Eastern City's great defensive array, and alarming the experts thousands of miles away. The light of a firefly dares to compete with the brilliance of the moon. The black-robed man coldly snorted. His palms formed into fists and smashed towards the sun and moon like sharp swords, wanting to forcefully suppress the two. Boom. The killing power of the three soared into the starry river. The light of the sun and moon shone brightly, terrifying the heavens. Thud thud thud. Nangong Qingyue and Muyu Tianchen's defense was indeed inferior to the black-robed man. His quasi-emperor robe allowed him to unleash all of his power without any misgivings. Coupled with the might of the quasi-emperor robe, he directly sent the two flying. However, he also didn't have it easy. He was suppressed by the power of the sun, moon, and yin and yang, and a large amount of his death chi was destroyed. PFFF. The three of them simultaneously coughed out blood and flew backwards. Their essence blood dyed the sky red. Under the radiance of the sun and moon, it made the myriad races' hair stand on end. This black-robed man is too terrifying. He can definitely be compared to the 100 Battle King. This pair of dual cultivators is actually so terrifying. However, they didn't show how terrifying they were in the endless space. People from the insane sect don't use common sense to speculate. Although there aren't many experts from the Dao Realm Holy Lands that have recovered, they are still Dao Realm Holy Lands. The 100 Battle King in the entire endless universe isn't as numerous as the insane sect. It's a pity that the insane sect's requirements are too high. Otherwise, I would be willing to join the insane sect even if I had to kneel outside the gate for 3 days and 3 nights. Only such a demon would dare to show killing intent towards the insane sect. The people outside the city walls discussed animatedly, all of them anticipating the appearance of the insane sect's experts. Outside the insane sect, a youth crazily shouted, attracting the attention of a group of young disciples. When they realized that he was actually a messenger, they immediately notified Yi Qinghan. When Yi Qinghan heard the news, his eyes flashed as he ordered people to seal off the insane sect. He then summoned the devouring soul god eagle and rushed towards the eastern city. Chapter 292. Asterisk whoosh whoosh whoosh. Asterisk the distance between the two cities was less than 10,000 miles. The experts of the immortal sects needed 4 hours. Yi Qinghan used the god-slaying eagle and spread its wings. It only took half an incense stick's worth of time to reach the eastern city. Its wings covered the sky and rolled up the mountains and rivers. Yi Qinghan stood on the head of the god-slaying eagle and looked down at the ground. He found that Muyu Tianchen and Nangong Qingyue didn't gain any advantage. Instead, they suffered a great loss. He then looked at the black-clothed man. Even if the quasi-emperor armor didn't recover, the two of them couldn't do anything. The insane sect was inferior to the super forces. First, they suffered a great loss in terms of weapons and defense. However, their combat strength wasn't inferior to them. Seeing that someone was using the quasi-emperor robe and divine martial Dao soldiers to bully Muyo Tianqian and Nangong Qingyue, beating them until their flesh and blood splattered everywhere, dyeing the city walls red, he immediately flew into a rage. Stop! A hoarse voice that contained a supreme will swept across the sky and suppressed 10,000 Dao. The soul-killing technique had been cultivated to the small success stage. His words were his will. Muyo Tianqian was overjoyed. He didn't dare to be entangled and shot towards the void with Nangong Qingyue. Another one that wants to die. Suppress. The black-clothed man sneered and waved his hand. The seal in his hand suppressed 10,000 miles and shattered the void. It kept growing as if it was going to suppress the entire eastern city. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He looked up and felt that the sky was about to collapse. His pupils shrank when he saw the words, human race, engraved on the seal. How was this a divine martial Dao weapon? It was clearly the dragon subduing seal. It was a quasi-emperor weapon that was forged by the ancient human emperor when he was a quasi-emperor. It was a set with the dragon subduing seal. With the weapon and the secret technique combined, a quasi-emperor could definitely suppress a quasi-emperor. Unfortunately, the dragon subduing seal was sealed and couldn't release any emperor aura. However, this aura alone was enough to surpass an ordinary divine martial Dao weapon. Screech. The god-slaying eagle was horrified. It couldn't withstand the dragon subduing seal's aura at all. It screamed miserably and kept flapping the sky. It wanted to leave, but it couldn't control its body at all. It was as if the dragon subduing seal was suppressing it. No wonder you're so arrogant. Are you relying on the dragon subduing seal and the quasi-emperor robe? Yi Qinghan tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and rushed up. The Runhuang's protection and the sword of Runhuang's might shook the sky and shattered the void. There was nothing it couldn't break, nothing it couldn't break. He had the quasi-emperor weapon to protect his physical body, but not his soul. In addition, he wasn't prepared for Yi Qinghan's soul attack. He was instantly injured. Only then did he realize that although Yi Qinghan's cultivation realm was low, his combat strength wasn't inferior to his. Wait, who are you? The black-clothed man flew backward continuously. He wanted to tear through the void and escape, but Yi Qinghan had already controlled the space within 100 miles. If he dared to escape through the alternate space, Yi Qinghan would dare to bury him in the space-time turbulence. Arrogant sex idiot. I've said it before. Whoever dares to use their cultivation realm and weapons to bully my arrogant sex people must die. You are no exception. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan couldn't be bothered to speak nonsense with the black-clothed man. Since the black-clothed man used his weapon to bully Muyu, Tianqian, and Nangong Qingyue, then the black-clothed man wouldn't say anything if he used the mortal sovereign sword to bully them. One sword flattening the heavens. The heavy berserk style was repeated and repeated. There was no need to use a second secret technique, because other secret techniques were useless against the black-clothed man. They couldn't break through his defense. He could only rely on the mortal sovereign sword. The black-clothed man was sullen. He was forced to use the dragon suppressing seal by Muyu, Tianqian, and Nangong Qingyue. Now the other party was using the mortal sovereign sword to humiliate him. He couldn't resist at all. Brat, don't go too far. What kind of ability is it to rely on the mortal sovereign sword? The black-clothed man roared and retreated. His quasi-emperor armor was torn apart by the mortal sovereign sword. His supreme invincible defense was nothing but bullshit, unable to withstand a single blow. Ha ha ha. You rely on the quasi-emperor armor and dragon-suppressing seal? You have to pay for what you've done. If you rely on divine weapons, you should think that others will also rely on divine weapons to suppress you. Yi Qinghan laughed maniacally. He crushed the heavens with his feet and moved forward with his sword. The cold light pierced through everything and surrounded the black-clothed man. Do I need a quasi-emperor weapon to kill you? If you have the guts, let's not use the extreme Dao Emperor weapon. Watch me kill you with one hand. The black-clothed man panted. His black blood poured down along with the rain, looking extremely terrifying. Is that so? Then take off your quasi-emperor robe and see if I can kill you or not. Yi Qinghan sneered in disdain. A ray of light flashed across his eyes, and he wanted to snatch the dragon-suppressing seal. Now that the dragon-suppressing seal was in Zetian's hands, he could cultivate it together for a period of time. It would be equivalent to him having another extreme Dao Emperor weapon. All right. I want to see how you're going to kill me today. The black-clothed man's consciousness moved and the quasi-emperor armor returned to his hand. He kept it in his Qianquan ring. Yi Qinghan sneered. He flipped his palm and the mortal sovereign sword disappeared and returned to his sea of consciousness. However, his consciousness moved the divine martial imperial code. Kill. The black-clothed man waved the seal and tore the void apart. He charged toward Yi Qinghan to suppress him. The emperor descends from the heavens. Suppress him. The divine martial imperial code suddenly exploded. It was accompanied by a huge hand that covered the sky. It instantly pierced through the void like an emperor descending. The divine martial imperial code became even more terrifying. It kept growing bigger and bigger. It was like a huge canopy that fell from the sky and crashed onto the black-clothed man. Whoosh! The black-clothed man's body was smashed into pieces. The dragon-suppressing seal was sent flying a few thousand meters away and crashed into the array of the city wall. Poof! The black-clothed man was hit until he saw stars. He was smashed deep into the ground. There was not a single piece of his body that was intact. Especially his right arm, it was smashed into nothingness. The deathly aura dissipated and his soul was almost shattered into pieces by the divine martial imperial code. Fuck your ancestor. How dare you cough trick me? Divine martial imperial code. How many extreme Dao Emperor weapons do you have? The black-clothed man was furious. He rushed out from the ground in a sorry state. Not many, but it's enough to kill you. Yi Qinghan's power was overwhelming. He formed seals with his palms and summoned the palatial Buddha pagoda. It turned into a huge pagoda and was about to destroy the eastern city. Poof! Countless experts standing on the city wall coughed up blood. They looked at Yi Qinghan outside the city in shock. It was as if a young human emperor had appeared and could suppress anyone. Boom! The ground kept cracking. The palatial Buddha pagoda enveloped the black-clothed man. It was about to suppress and purify him. Suddenly, the space between heaven and earth froze. Everything was still. A huge hand reached out from the wilderness and grabbed the black-clothed man. It then grabbed the dragon-suppressing seal. Yi Qinghan was furious. He did not care what the realm behind this huge hand was. Anyone who dared to snatch his spoils of war was an enemy. Emperor's sword, come out! The divine martial imperial code trembled and shattered the frozen space. Yi Qinghan moved smoothly. He held the emperor's sword and slashed at the huge hand. He did not want to injure the enemy, but he wanted the enemy to give up on the dragon-suppressing seal. Humph, kid. You are the first one in thousands of years who dares to attack this emperor. A deep voice pierced through the void. The cold snort contained a terrifying will. It was as if it wanted to kill countless experts. It caused the heaven and earth to become deathly silent. Even the great Tao was forbidden. However, the huge hand in the void stopped moving forward. It only grabbed the black-clothed man and retreated. That terrifying existence was not afraid of Yi Qinghan. It was afraid that the emperor's sword and the divine martial imperial code would awaken at the same time. Yi Qinghan did not care. He reached out and snatched the dragon-suppressing seal. After getting the dragon-suppressing seal, Yi Qinghan realized who the other party was. A great emperor. A great emperor-level existence. Otherwise, it would be impossible for a will to take away the young black-clothed man. It would also be impossible for the surrounding space and time to freeze. Thinking of this, Yi Qinghan's body trembled. He actually attacked a great emperor today. Fortunately, he was apprehensive of the emperor's sword and the divine martial imperial code. Otherwise, he would have died here today. The eastern city was deathly silent. They looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. It was more terrifying than seeing a ghost. This guy was too daring. He dared to snatch something from a great emperor. It was as he said. He was just an ordinary man and an extremely daring one. Muyu Tianchen was also trembling. He saw clearly that the other parties will formed a huge hand shadow. It contained a bit of soul spirit and could cross countless miles of mountains and rivers. It could cross mountains and rivers to save people from the end of the wilderness. The other party was obviously a great emperor. It was very likely that he was a great emperor from the Forbidden Grounds. Yi Qinghan had blasphemed against the great emperor's prestige. It was fortunate that he did not die. Chapter 293. Outside the eastern city, Yi Qinghan held the emperor's sword, protected his golden body with the Paladin Pagoda, and protected his soul with the divine martial imperial codex. He looked at the depths of the wilderness cautiously. Brat, you're blaspheming the emperor's prestige. You'll die without a burial place. Just you wait, I'll make sure that the arrogant sect will never have a day of peace. The emperor of the Forbidden Grounds ignored the distance and scolded Yi Qinghan. It was as if he was right in front of him. Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He didn't expect a great emperor to be behind the black-robed man. However, the other party didn't dare to attack as he was wary of the divine martial imperial codex and the emperor's sword. He snorted coldly. Is a great emperor so shameless as to threaten the younger generation? The matters of the younger generation should be settled by the younger generation. Why are you interfering? You think using the emperor's sword and the divine martial imperial codex is a skill? The black-robed man used the great emperor's secret technique to project the imperial domain. His body was covered in blood and his quasi-emperor robe was smashed. He glared at Yi Qinghan and couldn't wait to charge at him again. I don't think using the divine martial imperial codex is a skill. You think using the quasi-emperor robe and the dragon subduing seal to bully the people of the arrogant sect is a skill? Using the emperor's weapon to crush those of the same level, no matter how powerful you are, you can't prove your Tao. Yi Qinghan was strong. So what if he had a great emperor behind him? It was just reason. If the other party was unreasonable, then he would fight. At most, he would go to the ancestral land to ask for the emperor's corpse. You're Yi Qinghan? The sect master of the arrogant sect. Remember this. When I come out of seclusion, I don't need any high-grade weapons. I'll definitely erase the arrogant sect from the history of the human race. The black-robed man said coldly. I'll wait for you. If we're of the same level, I'll kill you like a dog. Yi Qinghan sneered, holding the emperor's guardian sword tightly. The divine martial experts in the airspace above the eastern city, as well as the pseudo-emperors and quasi-emperors of the Emperor Abyss City, were all sweating profusely. Yi Qinghan was too domineering. It was one thing for him to not give face to the 12 Saint Royal clans and the royal families of the myriad races, but now, he actually dared to go against the emperor of a forbidden ground. Was there anything he didn't dare to do? Actually, Yi Qinghan was not a rash person. If the great emperor in the Forbidden Grounds could appear, he would have done so a long time ago. Why wait until now? Since he couldn't even leave the forbidden area, why should he be afraid of him? It might be possible to intimidate others with just his will, but it was absolutely impossible to intimidate Yi Qinghan. The black-robed man's projection dissipated, but the ferocious light in his eyes still remained in the world. Yi Qinghan flew back to the god-slaying eagle's back, and looked at Muyo Tianqian and Nangong Qingyue bathing in the river of blood. He immediately threw out a few grade 7 saint pills to the two of them, and rode the god-slaying eagle into the sky. In the airspace above the Emperor Abyss City, more than 10 quasi-emperors looked at each other, and wiped the sweat from their foreheads. They discussed in a low voice. Yi Qinghan is truly daring. This bastard will stir up big trouble sooner or later. That's right. Daring to go against a great emperor, and a little immortal sect rookie at that. This bastard's guts are absolutely unprecedented. The Azure Dragon quasi-emperor's mouth twitched as he coldly snorted. It's still better than being a coward. What can he do if he doesn't act tough at this time? Kneel down and beg for mercy? That's right. I support this child's attitude. The Forbidden Grounds and the human race can't be reconciled in the first place. There's no difference between good and bad attitudes. So what if he's a great emperor? His will can crush us, but in front of the Guardian Sword and the Divine Martial Imperial Codex, he can only cower in the Forbidden Grounds. He can only clamor. Yi Qinghan didn't give him face, so he can only let the younger generation come out and act arrogantly. Xia Qintian smiled coldly and spoke up for Yi Qinghan. Some people were weak and didn't want to fall out with the forbidden grounds at this time. However, there were also many people who were hawkish and advocated for a tough stance. The tougher the human race was, the more the forbidden grounds wouldn't push their luck. In the Kuang sect, the parrot already knew everything. When it saw Yi Qinghan return, it knelt on the ground with a plop and cried out, "Master, I beg you to cancel the contract. My young heart can't bear such great pressure. I only offended a few juniors. You're too daring. If you didn't offend the Ghost Emperor, then you offended the Great Emperor. You want me to admit defeat? I beg you spare me." The corner of Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He looked down indifferently at the parrot grabbing his trousers and begging, as if it really wanted to leave. "You want to leave? Are you sure?" Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse as he coldly asked. "I'm sure. I'm very sure that if I follow you, I'll definitely die an unnatural death. Seeing as I've always been loyal and devoted, please allow me to leave on my own and find my own direction." The parrot wailed and trembled all over. It was truly scared silly by Yi Qinghan's courage. Everyone looked at each other. They had never seen such a spirit pet in their lives. It actually begged its master to cancel the contract. The corner of Zetian's mouth twitched. He was confused by this so-called big brother divine bird. This parrot was high and mighty in front of everyone, but in front of Yi Qinghan, it only cried and begged. It was no longer as carefree as it was in the endless space. Was this really the big brother that he recognized in the endless space? Won't you regret it? Yi Qinghan took a deep breath, clenched his fist, and asked in a deep voice. Absolutely not. The parrot solemnly promised. Its determination to leave was like the water of the Yellow River. It would never go against the flow. Good. I will fulfill your wish. Yi Qinghan said firmly. The parrot was overjoyed. Before it could express its gratitude, Yi Qinghan looked at Emperor Yi and continued, "My son, gather all the members of the Kuang sect. Today we will eat barbecued meat." Plop, the parrot knelt down completely. Looking at Yi Qinghan's murderous eyes, it no longer cared about its face. It hurriedly stood up, spread its wings, and took a few steps back. It said righteously, "Master, I have decided to advance and retreat with the Kuang sect. I am your spirit pet in life, and I want to die with the soul of the Kuang sect. Master is handsome, elegant, and dignified. This divine bird speculates that Master must be the future emperor of the human race, the supreme existence of the endless universe. Great Emperor or Ghost Emperor. So what if I offend him? My master offends them because he is giving them face. You don't have to advance and retreat with me. I will get you killed." Yi Qinghan mocked disdainfully. "Master, you can humiliate my body, but you cannot insult my soul. This divine bird has a noble godhead. I am the future emperor of all races. How can I be afraid of death? How can I betray the Kuang sect? How can I betray you?" The parrot vowed solemnly, completely forgetting its previous pleading. The corners of everyone's mouth twitched as they tried to hold back their laughter. Zetian clenched his iron fist and thought to himself, "Is this really Brother Divine Bird?" Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and stared at the divine soul-devouring eagle. The corners of his mouth rose slightly as he mocked. "You won't regret this time, will you? I swear to advance and retreat with the Kuang sect." This divine bird watched these children grow up. How can I let them be bullied? Anyone who dares to go against the Kuang sect is going against this divine bird. Anyone who dares to bully the disciples of the Kuang sect is bullying this divine bird. Those people will not have a good ending. At this moment, the parrot's soul rose instantly. It was as great as the great emperor, majestic, noble, and inviolable. Yi Qinghan restrained his murderous intent. This divine soul-devouring eagle was too cunning. It seemed to be loyal to Yi Qinghan and the Kuang sect, but in fact it was not like that. If it could survive at the critical moment, it would even betray the emperor. Yi Qinghan would never break the contract. The people of the Kuang sect were laughing in their hearts. They were gloating over the parrot's misfortune. This guy was unwilling to lose to anyone. Finally, there was someone who could suppress it so that it would not dare to talk nonsense. However, Zetian's heart was in turmoil. His face turned purple. feeling that he had been disgraced by the parrot. Fortunately, the one who suppressed it was Yi Qinghan, its master. Otherwise, he would have cleaned up the sect himself. I believe you. Remember, if the Kuang sect is destroyed, I will die too. If I die, you will be buried with me. Don't think about leaving all day. Do you think I will be as stupid as the others and be fooled by you? Yi Qinghan threw down a Qiankuan ring, slapping the parrot's face. He immediately said, "Here are 37th grade sacred herbs, at least 300 6th grade supreme herbs, and more than 1,000 5th grade herbs. It will be enough for you to use for a while. When you are done, come and ask me for more." The parrot also felt that it had angered Yi Qinghan. It immediately rushed up and stood on his shoulder, crying, "Master, how can I bear to leave you? I was just joking. Please don't take it to heart. I can't bear to leave you. Even if the seas dry up and the rocks decay, the sky falls and the earth rends, I will die with you." The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth curled up. He didn't want to waste any more words with the parrot. This thing could climb to the heavens if given a stick, so he turned to Emperor Yi and Li Jiucheng and said, "My son Jiucheng, take these medicinal pills and go to the myriad tribes that made the deal with us. Give them their share and collect some materials while you're at it. The higher the grade, the better." Muyu Tianqian and Nangong Qingyue's battle against the black-clothed man showed the weakness of the Kuang sect. Their weapons and defense were too weak. Now that they had a 7th grade fire source, it was time to make some divine weapons for the Kuang sect. Li Jiucheng fought steadily. His realm was still at the great revered realm, but he was Yi Qinghan's most trusted disciple. He was mature, steady, and had a strong sense of danger. Perhaps it was because he was a hunter in the past. His survival instincts were much stronger than others. As long as he experienced more and saw more, he would definitely become a mainstay of the Kuang sect. Li Jiucheng didn't expect Yi Qinghan to trust him so much and give him such an important task. He was quite happy and said respectfully, "Master, this disciple will complete the task perfectly. And I'm assured with your work. When you come back, come to my alchemy room. I have something to talk to you about." Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He wanted to train Li Jiucheng. Yi Qinghan rarely summoned his disciples alone. Only Emperor Yi followed him all day. After all, Emperor Yi had been with Yi Qinghan since they were young. It was natural for them to have a deep relationship. However, Li Jiucheng was different. His cultivation time was short, and his talent wasn't too outstanding. The reason why Yi Qinghan wanted to train him was because of his will to protect. His loyalty was irreplaceable. His will to protect the Kuang sect was like protecting little Li. Unless he died, no one could hurt little Li. Li Jiucheng knew that his opportunity had come. He bowed deeply, and went straight to Emperor Abyss City with Emperor Yi. Chapter 294. In the insane sect, all the disciples had obtained precious elixirs and sacred elixirs. Each of them had hundreds of 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade sacred elixirs. The purpose of refining elixirs was to strengthen the insane sect. Yi Qinghan did not have the bad habit of keeping elixirs to himself. The stronger the insane sect and the stronger the disciples, the happier he would be. The more people who could surpass him in terms of combat strength, he would definitely do his best to nurture them. The disciples of the insane sect also knew how to be grateful. They respected and trusted Yi Qinghan like a father. There was no need to guard against him. The cohesion of the insane sect was not something that other sects and families could compare to. After Yi Qinghan finished his work, he brought the parrot to Zetian. "Brother Zetian, I'm willing to exchange a supreme treasure for the secret technique of the dragon subduing seal. Just tell me what you need. I'll definitely get it for you," Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Zetian was stunned. The secret technique of the dragon subduing seal? The parrot did seem to have given him a secret technique of the dragon subduing seal. However, the most important thing now was to awaken the Qilin bloodline. He did not care about the secret technique at all. Now that he was reminded by Yi Qinghan, he moved his fingertips and took out the secret technique of the dragon subduing seal. He handed it to Yi Qinghan and said indifferently, "This was given to me by Brother Divine Bird. It's yours. There's no need to exchange it." Yi Qinghan shook his head and said with a smile, What divine bird gave you is yours. I need this secret technique, because I've obtained the pseudo-extreme Tao Emperor weapon, the Dragon Subduing Seal. They're a set and their combat strength is limitless. If they're separated, they won't be of much use. So the secret technique of the Dragon Subduing Seal is very important to me. I won't take advantage of you. You've obtained the Dragon Subduing Seal. Hasn't it disappeared for a long time? Zetian's pupils shrank. He was extremely shocked. The combination of the Dragon Subduing Seal and the secret technique of the Dragon Subduing Seal was an existence that could suppress the Azure Dragon. It was definitely comparable to an Emperor weapon. It was a coincidence, so you don't have to feel embarrassed. I've never mistreated my brothers, Yi Qinghan said in a serious tone. Zetian laughed bitterly as he shook his head and said, I don't lack anything at all right now, and it's impossible for you to obtain the things I lack. Yi Qinghan frowned. Zetian had the bloodline of a Qilin, and it was very pure. The only thing he needed to do now was to cause his blood to undergo atavism, to fill it with the power of the ancient Qilin blood. The parrot had given him a drop, but there was no guarantee that he would be able to undergo atavism. If he failed, then it would be a waste, and it would be much more difficult to find a second drop. You want the Qilin blood essence? Yi Qinghan asked doubtfully. Zetian nodded and spoke truthfully. I don't dare waste this drop of blood essence. If I'm able to combine it with 2 drops of blood essence, then I'll have a 70% chance of atavism. If I have 3 drops of blood essence, then I'll have an 80% chance of atavism. Once atavism occurs, then my combat strength will rise without limit. That's enough for him to have a 50% chance of attaining the Tao. I'll try my best. Yi Qinghan's expression was solemn. Qilin blood essence was not something ordinary. It was the blood essence of a real divine beast Qilin. The divine beast Qilin had gone extinct a long time ago, and its remaining blood essence was even rarer than monarch weapons. It was very difficult to find, and even if it was found, no one would be willing to sell it. Xia Tian had 3 drops of essence blood, but they were of very low quality. Unlike the drop of essence blood rewarded by the human emperor, which was most likely taken from a Qilin who was about to prove his Tao, Xia Tian's 3 drops of essence blood were probably taken from a Qilin who was at most in the divine martial realm. There was a clear difference between the 2 drops of essence blood. However, even if Yi Qinghan knew that Xia Tian had Qilin blood essence, it was already too late. Because as soon as Xia Ziluo and Xia Qiyue returned to the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty, Xia Tian gave 2 drops of blood essence to each of them, leaving only 1 drop with him. After leaving Ziluo's residence, Yi Qinghan returned to his alchemy room and continued to cultivate and study the Dragon Suppressing Seal. The Dragon Suppressing Seal was a secret technique created by the human emperor when he was young. It was broad and profound, and just by looking at it, one could feel that there was room for improvement. Yi Qinghan eagerly read the secret technique to make up for his shortcomings. He revised the Extreme Emperor Return Origin and Emperor Heaven Descend secret techniques, making them stronger and stronger. His 9 Heavens Tyrant Dragon art also improved a lot. 2 hours later, Yi Qinghan's soul was extremely tired. The Dragon Suppressing Seal was a secret technique created by the human emperor when he was still a fake emperor. It already had emperor's might. Even if he cultivated it diligently, it would still take some time. Putting away the secret technique, Yi Qinghan took out the Dragon Suppressing Seal and found that it had been sealed by a monarch-level formation. Summoning the human sovereign sword, he respectfully asked, I wonder if Lord Guardian can help me break this monarch-level formation and revive the Dragon Suppressing Seal? The human sovereign sword lightly shook and knocked on the monarch-level formation on the Dragon Suppressing Seal. The sword spirit said, No, this monarch-level formation was created when he was at the peak of the great emperor. At most, I can break the outer seal, but I can't break the inner seal. However, it is enough for you to drip your blood on it and nourish it with your soul. After many years of accumulation, the Dragon Suppressing Seal will break the seal on its own. Yi Qinghan was overjoyed. As long as he could drip his blood on it, it would be enough. The human sovereign sword was revived, and the monarch-level formation was broken. The dragon-suppressing seal released a terrifying pressure. Even if it only broke the seal a little, it was enough to make the world respect it. Ren Huangyi and Li Jiucheng stepped into Imperial Abyss City and took out the account book from that time. They gathered close to 100 clans and distributed pills of the 5th tier and above in person. This was much more than the 20% that they had agreed upon. This tempted even more clans. Benefits were paramount. Cooperating with the 12 great sacred royal clans and the sovereign family was far less beneficial than cooperating with the Xuanzong. They secretly made up their minds and began to mobilize the precious materials in their clans. Emperor Yi collected the materials, and Li Jiucheng was responsible for recording them. They quickly collected a large number of materials. Emperor Yi smiled, very satisfied with the harvest this time. Everyone, I will come to this again in a month. I hope you will meet me as promised. I will give you all the pills you have. My master also said that if you have the best refining materials, we will accept them. Even if they are monarch-level weapon materials, as long as you can take them out, we will buy them. Moreover, the price will definitely satisfy you. We will not exploit you. Emperor Ye's voice was like the sound of nature. She looked so lively that people could not help but want to get close to her. Although her eyes were closed, it did not affect her temperament. Haha, the people of the insane sect are straightforward. We are relieved. With Emperor Ye's guarantee, we are absolutely assured. Everyone was delighted and cupped their fists. Then I will take my leave. Seniors, please go ahead. Emperor Yi finished speaking and left Emperor Abyss City with Li Jiucheng. Outside the city, on a barren mountain 300 miles away, at least hundreds of experts gathered. They were all pseudo-emperors. They were all experts of the myriad races and major forces of the human race. They did not have the ability to forge 7th-grade pills, so they could only cooperate with the Dao Realm Holy Lands and Saint Royal clans. They did not dare to directly look for the insane sect in front of so many boundary emperors. They could only wait here secretly. This was the place Emperor Yi had to pass through to return to the insane sect. Emperor Yi noticed them and came here with the god-slaying eagle. He was not worried that they would mess around. Emperor Yi, I am the Grand Elder of the Kuan-Tang tribe. I would like to trade some materials with the insane sect. Emperor Yi, I am the sect leader of the human race's Celestial Master sect. I would also like to trade with the insane sect. In an instant, more than 100 experts spoke at once, revealing their purpose. Ren Huangyi rejoiced inwardly. The materials for this transaction were of much higher quality than the previous batch, so he accepted all of them. Yi Qinghan's alchemy speed was very fast. He had a good fire source and a good alchemy furnace. The only problem was the strength of his spiritual core and soul. Li Jiucheng was beaming with joy. A silly smile appeared on his heavy face. He recorded everything one by one. After this matter was done, he just had to wait for Yi Qinghan's reward. After collecting the materials and agreeing on the location of the trade, he took Li Jiucheng on the god-slaying eagle and flew straight to the insane sect. However, when they were more than 2,000 miles away from the insane sect, and only 300 miles away from the hunter's territory, they were stopped by a group of people. They looked very young and dressed very strangely. Their clothes were very similar to that of the ancient times. Their temperament was extraordinary, and their combat strength was very frightening even when they were restrained. Li Jiucheng frowned and took out a divine bow, looking at the crowd warily. 17th uncle, she is Emperor Yi. She has the zither immortal crimson demon body. If she marries you, the next generation will definitely be able to prove Dao and become a real supreme emperor. A young man who was at least as strong as a king of the endless universe bowed to the young leader and said, Diwu Tianhe was a reclusive aristocratic family. His surname was Diwu. It was a very ancient surname that could be traced back to the ancient times. The Diwu family had a long history and was very powerful. They were definitely not inferior to the Dao Realm Holy Lands. Diwu Tianhe was definitely an expert among experts. The few followers around him had the combat strength of a 5-star killer god. It could be seen that his combat strength was not any weaker than Qitian Monkey King. Diwu Tianhe was like a jade. He was 8 feet tall and had an imposing appearance. He wore a white robe and looked very elegant. His eyes were deep as he looked down at Emperor Yi. Light flashed in his eyes and he kept nodding to show that he was very satisfied. Emperor Yi frowned. These guys were really bold. How dare they come to the border of the insane sect to kidnap him? Were they kicked in the head by a donkey? Emperor Yi, come with me. Diwu Tianhe's consciousness was high as he ordered. Are you okay? Have you become stupid? If you have nothing to do, get lost. Emperor Yi was not polite to others. Moreover, the other party was of unknown origin. Their words were so disrespectful, and even insulting to him. Hence, he immediately reprimanded them. Kill the people around her. Diwu Tianhe placed his hands behind his back and said coldly, all right, I'll do it. A follower rushed out and was about to attack. Think carefully before you act. I never show mercy to my enemies. If you dare to move a finger, I'll take your life. Emperor Yi opened his eyes and stared at the follower of the immortal sect level 5. The destructive light instantly covered the follower's body. Ah! Diwu Tianhe screamed. His immortal sect Dao robe was instantly pierced. The destructive aura rushed into his body and destroyed his vitality. Diwu Tianhe's eyes flashed and he smirked. He waved his hand and a different kind of sky appeared in the space. It blocked the destructive aura of the Dao of destruction and extinguished the destructive aura on the follower's body. It was so powerful that it was terrifying. Your combat strength is not bad. You're indeed suitable to be my woman. Give birth to my son and prove my Dao, Diwu Tianhe said. Fuck your mother's bullshit. Eldest senior sister is not someone you can touch. Li Jiuzhong was furious. He pulled the string of the immortal sect divine bow, and the arrow tore through the void. The sharp arrow sped forward and arrived in front of Diwu Tianhe. Boom. Diwu Tianhe did not move. He caught the sharp arrow with both hands and his robe fluttered. He did not even blink. Chapter 295. Diwu Tianhe didn't move at all. He caught the arrow with both hands and his clothes fluttered in the wind. He didn't even blink. Whoosh! Diwu Tianhe flicked his finger, and the arrow flew away from Li Jiuzhong. The sound of the arrow piercing through the sky resounded, and a flaming dragon appeared in the void. It was unstoppable. Buzz. Emperor Yi held the divine guqin, and his 5 fingers plucked the strings. A strand of melody pierced through the mountains and rivers. It turned into a sharp sword and collided with the sword. Qi soared to the 9 heavens and exploded in the wilderness. The 2 attacks dissipated at the same time, and the ripples in the void could be seen clearly. Screech! The god-slaying eagle screeched and brought Emperor Yi and Li Jiuzhong back dozens of miles. They looked at Diwu Tianhe and his followers vigilantly. They realized that Diwu Tianhe was definitely an expert among experts. Li Jiuzhong gasped and said in shock, where did this guy come from? Many ultimate experts of hidden clans haven't shown themselves yet. This is just the first batch. Emperor Yi whispered and said to Li Jiuzhong, you go back to Emperor Abyss City first. I can't do anything with you here. No. Senior sister, I'm not as strong as you, but I'm not afraid of death. Li Jiutian's expression was grave. The 5th celestial ravine was already very frightening. Coupled with his followers, their battle prowess was not weak either. If Ren Huangyi were to face them alone, it would be more painful than death for him. At this moment, he was extremely furious. His battle prowess was indeed incomparable to these top-notch fighters. Cut the crap. You'll only die if you stay here. If you leave, I'll find a chance to leave too. Emperor Yi scolded coldly. Diwu Tianhe's lips curled into a mocking smile. He said emotionlessly, don't go. All of you stay. I'll get whatever I want. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As soon as Diwu Tianhe finished speaking, his 7 or 8 followers blocked the path of Emperor Yi and Li Jiuzhong. It was impossible for Li Jiuzhong to leave alone. Emperor Yi took a deep breath and said indifferently, Your Excellency's combat strength is extraordinary, but instead of contributing to the human race, you commit crimes. How disappointing. I want you to be my woman. You and I will become one and give birth to a child. He will definitely be able to prove his Dao. Isn't this a contribution to the human race? Diwu Tianhe said proudly. He didn't think that forcefully taking Emperor Yi was humiliating at all. Twisting words and forcing logic? Do you think you're worthy? Even if someone like you confirms the Tao, I can still skin you alive. Emperor Yi was furious. Even now, Diwu Tianhe still dared to speak such arrogant words and disrespect him. Qin. Hum with a long roar, Emperor Yi rushed to a place 1,000 miles away. His indomitable spirit intimidated all the heroes, and alerted the more than 100 fake emperors and cultivators at the great completeness of the divine martial arts realm who had left before. They recognized the clothes of the Diwu family, and didn't dare to interfere. They all fled into the city and pretended not to see anything. Little girl, how dare you attack me? Diwu Tianhe sneered. He swiped his hand across the void and a Taoist scripture appeared. It was very thin, but the emperor's aura was very strong. The heavenly scripture of the Tao Sea was engraved on it. It was the most terrifying secret technique of the ancient times. The fifth great emperor had personally created a weapon that combined emperor weapons and secret techniques. The first page overturned the Zhangxi. The second page overturned the sun and moon. The third page overturned the heaven and earth. The fourth page overturned the great Tao. The fifth page overturned the chaos. And the sixth page overturned the origin. Once the 6 pages of the Taoist scripture appeared, the heaven and earth could be suppressed. The process of the universe's formation could be seen. Even boundary emperors had to retreat. Whoosh! A ray of emperor light surged and the heavenly river roared like the Zhangxi. It wanted to drown the universe and shatter the Taoist hearts of the heroes. It seemed illusory, but it could actually suppress the divine martial arts realm cultivators. 9 arrows chasing moon explosion technique. Whoosh 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 whoosh. 9 consecutive arrows, chasing after the stars and seizing the moon. Each arrow was 10 times stronger than the previous one. And each arrow was 10 times faster than the previous one. The 9 arrows merged into one and formed a sky-destroying arrow. It pierced through the galaxy and headed straight for the Zhangxi. It wanted to break through 10,000 miles and kill Diwu Tianhe. Li Jiucheng didn't want to sit around and wait for death. He poured all of his true essence into Emperor Ye's body, hoping to help him. In the battle between the two experts, no matter how many titled emperors intervened, they would all die. It was the same for Li Jiucheng. As soon as his hand touched Emperor Ye's clothes, his true essence was sucked dry and he fell onto the back of the god-slaying eagle. Boom! The giant arrow collided with the Zhangxi and the heavenly river. The Zhangxi roiled and the heavenly river collapsed. It was a terrifying scene. The airwaves uprooted the mountains and turned the ancient trees into dust. The heat wave carried a destructive aura that spread 1,000 miles away. Screech! The god-slaying eagle let out a shrill cry. It wanted to block the airwaves, but the aftershock was too terrifying. Its body was almost torn apart. It couldn't block it, and was sent flying dozens of miles away. Emperor Ye's spiritual awareness was scattered. The difference between his cultivation level and Diwu Tianhe's was too big. Diwu Tianhe was a 9th-tier immortal gate, and a member of the imperial family. His bloodline was superb and he had a monarch weapon. If the human emperor's Guqin didn't awaken, it would be impossible to fight against him. However, the human emperor's Guqin couldn't be awakened at any time. After all, it needed to accumulate energy to prevent the dead spirits from appearing. Diwu Tianhe smiled and said disdainfully, "Your combat strength is not bad. Unfortunately, your cultivation level is too low. You're only a 2nd-tier immortal gate, and your body is not as strong as a great martial venerable. How can you fight against me? Come with me now and I'll spare your people." "I think you're courting death." Emperor Yi was furious. He sat cross-legged on the god-slaying eagle's head. His clothes danced in the wind, and his long hair fluttered in the wind. His 10 fingers plucked the strings of the Guqin. A powerful aura pierced through the shackles and filled the air with killing intent. It was as if a great emperor had descended and the human emperor had fallen. Burial emperors chant. There was a boundless sea of blood between heaven and earth. Corpses of great emperors floated in the air, and bones of great emperors were buried. The human emperor was mourning. Emperor Ye's aura was unreachable and inviolable. Diwu Tianhe frowned. He realized that he had offended someone he shouldn't have. If the other party was at the same cultivation level as him, he might have killed him. He immediately made up his mind and didn't want to let Emperor Yi leave. As long as he had sex with Emperor Yi, everything could be solved. Let's end this quickly. Kill the god-slaying eagle and that person. I'll deal with Emperor Yi. Diwu Tianhe gathered all the true essence in his body and activated the heavenly scripture of Tao. He shouted angrily. Second page flipping sun and moon. Sun and moon appear at the same time. Suppress. Boom. Whoosh. The sun and moon tore through time and space and appeared at the same time. It was as if Diwu Tianhe's palms were pressing down from the void. The god-slaying eagle's body cracked and it screamed in pain. It was thrown off Li Jiufeng and crashed into a mountain. Diwu Tianhe's followers immediately pounced on it. Emperor Yi was furious. It was already good enough that he could stop Diwu Tianhe at this time. How could he stop him from killing Li Jiufeng? You dare to kill the disciples of the insane sect. I, Emperor Yi, will kill all of you while I'm still alive. An angry roar that contained the might of an emperor blasted toward his followers. A trace of Wu made 7 to 8 followers who had the battle prowess of a 5-star god of slaughter cough blood. However, it couldn't kill them and they were allowed to pounce toward the mountain. Armor transformation combine. Wang. Emperor Yi plucked the strings like a madman. The origin of the great Tao in the world trembled, and the earth trembled. The earth trembled, alarming Emperor Abyss City and the insane sect. The aura was so majestic that the human heroes didn't dare to move. The sound of nature with the will rushed into their consciousness and suppressed their speed. The vigorous melody stirred their blood and qi, making them unable to control it. Suppress. Diwu Tianhe's eyes turned red. He mobilized the sun and moon to crush the earth. The god-slaying eagle's wings were broken, and it couldn't fly anymore. It crashed to the ground, and its bones were crushed. It screamed in agony and could only struggle. Emperor Yi coughed up blood. Her physical body wasn't strong and was her weakest point. Her flesh was about to be crushed. If it wasn't for the protection of the human emperor's Guqin, she would have been suppressed long ago. At this moment, she was enduring immense pain, but she gritted her teeth and held on. 7 or 8 followers entered the mountain range. Seeing Li Jiucheng unconscious on the cliff, a cruel smile appeared on their faces, and they were about to attack and kill him. Hong! A cold light flashed, and the 8 king-ranked existences were sent flying out of the mountain. 4 of them were broken at the waist. Divinity shot out in all directions and wiped out their vitality. They couldn't fight back at all. Diwu Tianhe was stunned. He turned around and looked at the valley. He saw a burly man carrying a huge axe walk out of the valley. He looked at the battlefield with disdain. He walked past 4 of Diwu Tianhe's followers who were struggling on the brink of death. He stomped his foot. An energy passed through the ground and killed them. Emperor Yi was overjoyed. She looked at the burly man. Although he was unshaven and unkempt, he had a strong divinity and aura. He was definitely not an evil person. She gritted her teeth and said, "Mister, please save that disciple of the insane sect. The insane sect will never forget your kindness. Don't worry, he won't die. His physical body is strong. It's just a fall. He'll be fine after 7 to 8 days of rest." The burly man's voice was deep and magnetic, just like Yiqinghan's. "Mister, mind your own business. Get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Diwu Tianhe frowned and scolded. TSK. The eldest son of the Diwu family, an existence that has been sealed for 5,000 years, a 9th-tier immortal sect, wants to deal with a little girl who hasn't even grown hair yet. You're a disgrace to the Diwu imperial family. The burly man sneered. Who are you? Diwu Tianhe stared at the newcomer and exploded again. He wanted to suppress Emperor Yi first so that he could deal with the newcomer. Crack! The god-slaying eagle's bones broke, and it fainted. The sun and moon spun and sank. A huge hole appeared in the ground. Emperor Yi was still fighting back crazily, so that the sun and moon couldn't completely suppress her, and the god-slaying eagle. I'm your second uncle, Nye Tian. The burly man looked at Emperor Yi with disdain and said indifferently, "Do you need my help? Call me uncle, and I'll help you kill him." Emperor Yi let out a muffled groan. His 5 fingers strummed the divine Guqin until his blood and bones broke. He was unwilling to speak. There was only one person worthy of being addressed as uncle. This title held a special meaning in her heart. You're quite stubborn. Don't be stubborn. Even those with royal bloodlines can lose. It's not shameful for you to lose to him. Moreover, this bastard is the direct descendant of the Diwu great emperor, and he has the heavenly scripture of the Dao Si. It's not a problem for him to suppress the sons of 8th-tier Dao realm immortal sects, let alone a 2nd-tier immortal sect girl like you. Nie Tian said indifferently. Nie Tian. Diwu Tianhe frowned. He had never heard of this name before. He couldn't help but scold coldly. Brat, I don't care who you are. Get lost, or don't blame me for suppressing you too. Fuck your ancestor. How dare you bully my sister? I'll smash you to death. A terrifying voice resounded through the mountains and rivers. The emperor's aura tore through space and approached the battlefield rapidly. Chapter 296. Swoosh. Shurga smashed through the void with the big golden brick and rushed over. Do you think you can bully the people of the arrogant sect? Whoosh. Feng Wuxia did not move, but his body had already descended. His 5 fingers pierced through the void, and the wind blew. His divine robe fluttered, and a sharp sword was formed between heaven and earth. It tore through the mountains and rivers, and directly attacked Diwu Tianhe. Damn bastard! How dare you bully my imperial sister? I'll tear you into 8 pieces. Si Wuxia's golden blood qi burst out, and even the quasi-emperors in Emperor Abyss City were shocked by it. The people of the arrogant sect all came, and even Dilong Tian came. A golden dragon circled the sky and instantly rushed to the center of the battlefield. It was definitely a real divine dragon. Its sharp claws tore through the mountains and rivers, and even the heavenly Dao rumbled. Other than Jian Qinxue and Gu Qingyu, who were in the endless space, everyone came. Xikong Qingjun and the other 5 joined forces and surrounded them from all directions. Heaven and earth were imprisoned. Nie Tian and Diwu Tianhe gasped. They were experts who had just emerged, and they did not know about Emperor Yi, nor did they know about the arrogant sect. Anyone would be shocked by the sudden appearance of so many experts. If they ganged up on one person, even a fake emperor would be half dead. Yi Qinghan moved the stars and broke through the void. He directly swept away the god-slaying eagle and Emperor Yi. Under the pressure of the sun and moon, the earth collapsed. Not to mention a person, even an iron mountain would be crushed by the sun and moon. Yi Qinghan transferred a large amount of wood origin to Emperor Yi to help him heal his injured body. He squinted at Nie Tian and Diwu Tianhe and laughed in anger. Master, that man helped me save junior brother Jiucheng. He's not with Diwu Tianhe. Emperor Yi wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a muffled voice, Thank you for your help, fellow cultivator. Once the insane sect has taken care of this, we will repay your kindness. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse and cold. It contained a terrifying murderous intent. He wanted to kill Diwu Tianhe. Nie Tian coughed and said, You're too kind. It's not a big deal. You can solve your problems. I won't get involved. He had never seen so many terrifying geniuses gathered together, so he didn't want to get involved in this matter. Therefore, he decided to leave. Who are you? Get out of my way. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Diwu Tianhe warned in a muffled voice. You reckless thing. You even dare to touch this divine bird's little master. Don't you know that no one in this world can bully her? Even I, the divine bird, have to lower my head when I see her. How dare you beat her up so miserably with your cultivation? Today, I'm going to roast you and throw you into the 100,000 mountains to feed the wild dogs. The parrot raised its head. With the help of the crazed sect and Zetian, they were not afraid of the enemy's awakened imperial weapons. In terms of imperial weapons, who had more than Yi Qinghan? Outside the Emperor Abyss City, the experts of the Dao realm sacred grounds broke out in cold sweat. Diwu Tianhe was the grandson of the Diwu heavenly emperor, and his bloodline was unreachable. The Diwu clan was not inferior to the Dao realm sacred grounds. If they were to fight, they would be surrounded by the crazed sect. Whoosh! In an instant, at least a dozen boundary emperors arrived and suppressed the restless blood qi of the experts. Qinghan, Prince Diwu, calm down. We're all humans. Don't hurt our friendship, because of a misunderstanding. A low-level boundary emperor from the Wangu Yuntian said in a deep voice. That's right. We're waiting for the king-conferring battle. Now is not the time to fight. In an instant, at least 7 or 8 boundary emperors spoke up for Diwu Tianhe. They didn't want him to be surrounded by the crazed sect. Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a mocking smile. He glanced at the boundary emperors and asked indifferently, My son is only 400 miles away from the Emperor Abyss City. Did you feel it when he was fighting with this damn thing? I felt it a little. Everyone smiled bitterly. Yi Qinghan was obviously blaming them for not making a move. They had almost caused the death of 2 elites from the crazed sect. My son is only at the 2nd stage of the Immortal Gate. His physical body is even weaker than a great martial honorable. This damn thing is at the 9th stage of the Immortal Gate, and has awakened an emperor weapon. Why didn't you stop him? Yi Qinghan questioned coldly. You're courting death. Who are you scolding? Diwu Tianhe was furious. He didn't care about the crazed sect at all. In terms of combat strength, he could suppress everyone. With so many boundary emperors present, would the crazed sect dare to gang up on him? The boundary emperors and false emperors broke out in cold sweat. They didn't know what to do. You shut up first. Later, I'll let you have a taste of what it's like to court death. Yi Qinghan pointed his blade at Diwu Tianhe and scolded domineeringly. He then turned to look at the boundary emperors and said coldly, Let me ask you. You know that your combat strength is not equal. Why didn't you make a move? Is it because he's the grandson of the Diwu Heavenly Emperor, and has a noble bloodline that you don't want to offend? Everyone was speechless and speechless. Since you didn't stop him and didn't want to speak, then you should shut up now and get lost. Don't think that you can order me around just because you're a boundary emperor. I won't fall for it. Do you think that you can humiliate my crazed sect as you wish? Yi Qinghan was furious. These boundary emperors were too shameless. When Emperor Yi was in danger, they pretended not to see it. Now that Diwu Tianhe was in danger, they immediately stood out. Wasn't it because the crazed sect didn't have a boundary emperor? If Emperor Shang was still around, would they dare to do this? The boundary emperors were furious. Yi Qinghan was simply slapping their faces. Even if he didn't give them face, he didn't have to shout in anger. Yi Qinghan, how dare you? Don't think that you can be disrespectful to us just because you have the Emperor's sword. The Emperor's sword is the guardian sword of the ancient killing god. A boundary emperor scolded angrily. Are you saying that the guardian sword has never protected you? Is that so? Yi Qinghan's aura erupted. He pointed the Emperor's sword at the boundary emperors and questioned coldly. The boundary emperors were speechless again. They knelt on the ground and respectfully welcomed the Emperor's sword. Remember your attitude towards the crazed sect today. Don't think that you can trample on our dignity and control the will of the crazed sect just because the crazed sect doesn't have a boundary emperor. No one can stop us from doing what we want to do. Not to mention you. Even if the sacred masters of the 10 great Dao realm sacred grounds came here personally, I wouldn't give them face. Yi Qinghan scolded coldly. The boundary emperor's veins bulged. Yi Qinghan was right. They didn't stop Diwu Tianhe, because the crazed sect didn't have a boundary emperor. Who would be willing to offend the Diwu family and the grandson of the Diwu great emperor for a group of juniors? At this time, Yi Qinghan had something on them. If they spoke up for Diwu Tianhe, any man with a bit of courage would not be able to resist. Nie Tian was speechless and thought to himself, Oh my god, where did this guy come from? He actually dared to insult the boundary emperors. Although these boundary emperors aren't high-level, ordinary people wouldn't dare to blaspheme them. Isn't he afraid of revenge? Diwu Tianhe's hair stood on end. He also felt that he had offended the wrong person. Yi Qinghan was a madman. He even dared to insult the boundary emperors. Moreover, there were so many people from powerful sects and clans, including the great elders of the sacred grounds. Was there anyone that he didn't dare to insult? I, Diwu Tianhe, have no intention of going against the crazed sect. I just want to be on good terms with the crazed sect and marry the Emperor Yi. Diwu Tianhe finally admitted defeat. Unfortunately, he had done so in the wrong place. He had touched Yi Qinghan's reverse scale. Ha ha ha, what a big tone. Marry the emperor's son? Are you qualified? If you can't use soft means, then you're going to use your cultivation base to rob him. You call this having no intention of going against the crazed sect? I've seen people who are courting death, but I've never seen anyone who's courting death like this. If you put down your imperial weapon now, I'll allow you to challenge all the disciples of the crazed sect except for me. If you don't, I'll let you have a taste of the power of the sword of the human sovereign and the divine martial imperial codex. Yi Qinghan laughed wildly. His eyes shone with a terrifying light and murderous intent. Gulp. Diwu Tianhe swallowed a mouthful of saliva and glanced at the more than 20 experts of the crazed sect. Among them there were a few whose individual combat strength was not inferior to his, such as Zitian, Shirgu, Feng Wuxia, Xikong Qingjun, and the others. If he was beaten up by this group of people, he would be dead even if he had 10 lives. However, Yi Qinghan had the sword of the human sovereign and the divine martial imperial codex. The sword of the human sovereign was enough to deal with the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si. With the divine martial imperial codex, Diwu Tianhe would be crushed into pieces in an instant. There would be no chance for him to escape. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to think. Choose to be killed by me or be beaten up by the disciples of the crazed sect. If you can escape, you'll be lucky. If you can't, the crazed sect will wait for the revenge of the Diwu family. Yi Qinghan had made up his mind to kill Diwu Tianhe. He had to kill him and spread the prestige of the crazed sect. In the future, if anyone dared to bully the crazed sect, they would end up like Diwu Tianhe. Yi Qinghan, don't you go too far. I, Diwu Tianhe, am not to be trifled with. Diwu Tianhe was furious. 3,000 years ago, he was invincible among his peers. However, it was not a good time for him to attain his Tao, so he chose to seal himself. How could he tolerate being bullied by a junior the moment he came out? Looks like you've chosen to fight me, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Little bastard, you're courting death by provoking the crazed sect. I'll give you a chance to apologize. Crawl from here to the crazed sect and kowtow to the young master. If the young master is in a good mood, he might spare your life. Otherwise, The parrot sneered coldly. It didn't say anything that wasn't unpleasant to hear. It clearly wanted to earn some merit, so that Yi Qinghan would treat it better. Diwu Tianhe's eyes flashed fiercely. He couldn't bear the humiliation. Your insulting me is the same as insulting my grandfather, the 5th great sovereign. Those who blaspheme the prestige of the great sovereign shall die. Diwu Tianhe resisted the 5th great sovereign, hoping to intimidate Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan grinned. He respected the dead great emperor, but that didn't mean that others could bully his people just because they were great emperors. The great emperor from the dead spirit's forbidden land was still alive, but Yi Qinghan dared to kill him, let alone a dead great emperor in the 5th heaven ravine. 3 breaths' time has passed. Irrelevant people leave now. I know you, but Lord Guardian Sword and the Divine Martial Imperial Codex don't. Yi Qinghan told Diwu Tianhe with his actions that he would definitely die today. The great sovereign was shocked and his face turned ugly. Yi Qinghan was like a stone in a latrine, smelly and stubborn. He didn't give anyone face at all. Wait. Diwu Tianhe was shocked. He didn't dare to fight against 2 awakened extreme Tao monarch weapons. He gritted his teeth and said, I can give up on the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si and fight against the rest of the crazed sect. But then again, it's not fair for me to fight against 20 of you. 10 moves is the limit. If I can withstand 10 moves, let me go. If I can't, I'll take it that I'm short-lived. Hearing this, everyone clenched their fists and sneered. With so many people working together, even a divine martial expert would be crushed in 10 moves, let alone Diwu Tianhe. Many people wanted to take revenge for Emperor Yi. Even Taiwa was glaring at Diwu Tianhe. He had been sitting on Li Jiucheng's shoulder all this time. Now that Li Jiucheng almost fell to his death, he really wanted to kill Diwu Tianhe. He clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Chapter 297. Crack. A group of people from the arrogant sect moved their bodies and their bones cracked. At least 20 of them surrounded Diwu Wuga. Shirgu weighed the brick in his hand and sneered. He stared at Diwu Tianhe's face and said, Boy, you look like a dog, but you're so shameless. I'll smash your face into meat paste later. Diwu Wuga? The grandson of the Diwu Emperor? You think you're the only one with a noble bloodline? Wuxia clenched his fists and unleashed his blood essence, causing Diwu Wuga's expression to change. Golden bloodline. Diwu Wuga was shocked. He was already shocked by the appearance of Emperor Yi in the arrogant sect. Now there was another golden bloodline. He could not help but sweat as he thought to himself. No wonder these boundary emperors do not dare to offend Yi Qinghan. Roar! Di Longtian stood on a golden dragon and held the clouds in his hand. His emperor robe fluttered as he looked down on the world. A golden ribbon was tied around his forehead and fluttered in the wind. Although he looked only 10 years old, he had an irresistible aura. At this moment, not only Diwu Wuga's pupils constricted, but even the boundary emperor's legs sank. They decided not to interfere and retreated. What kind of system is this? Where did this little guy come from? Many boundary emperors were shocked. They did not know that Di Shang had a son who was sealed for 1,000 years, and was only 7 years old. Only Emperor Yi, who had the help of the divine Guqin, knew about the divine dragon Dao body. Otherwise, even boundary emperors would not know about the divine dragon Dao body. Everyone gathered and imprisoned this place, turning it into the Forbidden Heaven prison. Diwu Wuga was shocked and regretful. If he fought with Yi Qinghan, he would most likely die. However, if he fought with these people, he would definitely die. Kill him. I want all the secluded families in the endless universe to see the consequences of bullying the arrogant sect. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Boom. With that order, no one held back. A group of people surrounded Diwu Wuga. Xikong Chengjun and Shirgu were the most powerful. Diwu Wuga was stunned and did not know what to do. Attacks came from all directions, and he could not dodge at all. Despite his powerful defense, he could not stop coughing out blood. Boom. The brick hit Tianhe Diwu in the chest. Tianhe Diwu's blood boiled, and his divine martial armor was shattered. Xikong Chengjun's war rod tore through space and time, aiming for Tianhe Diwu's head. He clearly wanted to kill him. Diwu Tianhe's pupils constricted as he raised his hand to attack the Thunder God's golden jade rod. Crack! How could a human's bones possibly shake the Thunder Deity's golden jade staff? The bones in his hand broke, and the crisp sound shattered the Dao hearts of the heroes. Wuxia relied entirely on his physical body. His flesh and blood erupted, and his fist smashed through space, heading straight for the Fifth Sky Ravine. The Fifth Sky Ravine's vital essence stagnated, and his battle prowess dropped by 50%. Yin and Yang appeared, and the sun and moon appeared. Nangong Qingyue and Muyo Tianqin combined into one and used their strongest power. They wanted to kill this Fifth Sky Ravine within 10 moves and show the insane sect's might. Di Longtian transformed into a true divine dragon and swooped down from the desolate wilderness. His mighty divine might alarmed the Azure Dragon Quasi-Emperor, who was in seclusion. The experts with slightly weaker bloodlines immediately knelt down, not daring to blaspheme in the slightest. His sharp claws tore through space and grabbed Tianhe Diwu's leg. He bared his fangs and wanted to devour Tianhe Diwu. It wasn't that Tianhe Diwu wasn't strong, but he couldn't be. With so many terrifying existences, one attack from each was enough to make him suffer. So what if his cultivation level was high? If he didn't use the Dao Si heavenly scripture, he would be courting death. Whoosh! Lin Wutian's sword pierced through the Milky Way and became one with the sword. He was only a half-step immortal, but he was even more terrifying than some fifth-stage immortal. Yi Qinghan, don't go too far. If you force me again, I'll take you down with me. Tianhe Diwu forcefully used the Dao Si heavenly scripture and sent everyone flying, but he didn't dare to attack. He just wanted to intimidate the insane sect. Yi Qinghan smirked and didn't bother to hide his killing intent. He waved his hand, and the others retreated. Then he took out the divine martial imperial codex and the human sovereign sword. Tianhe Diwu couldn't care less about his face anymore. He immediately fled into the distance. Boom! The Dao Si heavenly scripture tore through space and was about to leave the sovereign domain. Die! Yi Qinghan wouldn't allow him to escape. He threw out the human sovereign sword and slashed at the Tao Si heavenly scripture. The divine martial imperial codex was activated, and the emperor's aura suppressed the entire sovereign domain. Even the boundary emperors were enraged. No wonder Yi Qinghan was so domineering. He didn't care about the boundary emperors and the Tao realm's sacred grounds. It turned out that the two monarch weapons could be activated at any time. The dead spirits of the forbidden grounds were also afraid that Yi Qinghan's monarch weapons could be activated at any time. Otherwise, their souls would be damaged, and it would take a long time to recover. Tianhe was shocked. He didn't even dare to look back. He rushed out of the sovereign domain at an incredible speed. He was almost on par with Qitian Monkey King. Dragon Subduing Seal. Suppress him. Yi Qinghan was a nouveau riche. The number of Boundary Emperor weapons and Apex Emperor weapons in his hands would make any other Boundary Emperor blush with shame. The Dragon Subduing Seal continued to expand, almost like a canopy in the sky. It covered the space-time, and the entire sovereign region fell into darkness. The Tsang Dragon Boundary Emperor was shocked. He tore through space and arrived. When he saw Yi Qinghan and Tianhe grandson fighting, he had no intention of interfering. Instead, he stared at Di Longtian. It's him. He was the one who released the aura of the Divine Dragon. He has the Divine Dragon Tao body. The Divine Dragon has appeared again in the human body. The dragon race will be glorious again. The Tsang Dragon Boundary Emperor was shocked. His hands trembled as he tried to hug Di Longtian. Boom boom boom. The stable space of the sovereign domain crumbled. Yi Qinghan took out the palatial Buddha pagoda and shattered Tianhe soul. This is impossible. How can you have so many Apex Monarch weapons and pseudo-Apex Monarch weapons? Tianhe roared. Countless experts of the human race were attracted. Even the saint ancestors and family heads of the 10 sacred grounds were attracted. Yi Qinghan, what are you doing? Zhang Yunxiao was furious. Using so many Apex Monarch weapons to fight the grandson of Tianhe, he was clearly trying to kill him. Stop. At this time, even Qin Heng and Zuoxian rushed out. They did not want the human race to kill each other. However, Yi Qinghan was protected by so many Apex Monarch weapons. They could only shout at him from the side. They did not dare to interfere and suppressed Yi Qinghan. Tianhe heavenly scripture of the Tao Si was suppressed by the human sovereign sword. The God Martial Cannon and Dragon Subduing Seal suppressed Tianhe main body. The palatial Buddha pagoda protected Tianhe golden body. Yi Qinghan attacked Tianhe without restraint. Boom. 3 pages flipping heaven and earth. Die 2. PFFF. Tianhe strength was not enough to use the third move. However, his true yuan was sucked dry. Even half of his vitality was sucked away. He threw out the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si and coughed out blood. Hua. Heaven and earth had never been so close to humans. The sky collapsed, the earth cracked, and the myriad of laws wailed. The apex monarch's might was enough to startle the forbidden grounds and rush into the depths of the wilderness. The palatial Buddha pagoda wailed and trembled. It could be shattered by the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si at any time. The dragon subduing seal was instantly taken away by Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, not only would the dragon subduing seal be destroyed, but even his main body and soul would be severely injured. The human sovereign sword and divine martial cannon awakened on their own and suppressed the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si. The 3 apex monarch weapons showed the great Tao runes clearly to everyone. The boundary emperor coughed out blood, and the experts in Emperor Abyss City were knocked unconscious. Tianhe fled frantically. He rushed to the back of the Tao realm's sacred grounds Saint Lord. He was shocked when he saw the human sovereign sword and divine martial cannon, suppressing the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si. His divine sense was almost shattered. He immediately shouted, "Seniors, please stop this madman." Yi Qinghan stopped looking at the human sovereign sword and divine martial cannon. No matter how strong the heavenly scripture of the Tao Si was, it could not suppress the human sovereign sword and divine martial cannon. Boom. Yi Qinghan held the dragon subduing seal in his hand, and the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda protecting his golden body. He stepped towards Zhang Yunxiao and pointed at Tianhe. He said coldly, I don't care whose grandson you are. Get out here and die. Qinghan, what are you doing? Killing each other at a time like this. How disappointing. Zhang Yunxiao frowned. He had no idea what was going on. Master, if you acknowledge me as your disciple, then get out of the way. I will kill this person today, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Zhang Yunxiao's mouth twitched. Yi Qinghan had acknowledged the 10 Dao realm sacred grounds as his master. If he did not mention it, these people would have forgotten about it. Why? Give me a reason, Zhang Yunxiao asked coldly. He insulted Emperor Yi and almost killed Emperor Yi and Li Jiudao by relying on his cultivation level and monarch weapon. Is this reason enough? Yi Qinghan held the dragon subduing seal and asked aggressively. I'm not. I'm only interested in Emperor Yi. She has the zither immortal crimson demon physique. I have the bloodline of the Diwu Great Emperor. With the combination of the two, the child is destined to attain Dao. Emperor Yi is ignorant and doesn't think for the human race. Can't I kill him directly? Tianhe Diwu did not know what was good for him. You still don't know what's good for you. Who do you think you are? How dare you plot against anyone in the arrogant sect? Even if the Heavenly King is here, I will kill you today. Yi Qinghan looked coldly at Zhang Yunxiao and asked indifferently. Master, if you don't step aside today, I'll give you some face and consider it as repaying your kindness. Zhang Yunxiao's breath stagnated. He really wanted to slap Tianhe Diwu back to his hometown. Looking at Yi Qinghan's cold eyes, he knew that if he protected Tianhe Diwu today, he would definitely offend Yi Qinghan. However, he could not let Yi Qinghan kill Tianhe Diwu. If the old monster of Tianhe Diwu's royal family was provoked, Yi Qinghan and the people of the arrogant sect would be in trouble, let alone himself. Qinghan, from the big picture, Tianhe Diwu is in the wrong. I'm willing to compensate him. What do you think? Zhang Yunxiao smiled bitterly and said helplessly. I don't need any compensation. This heavenly scripture of the sea is mine. Yi Qinghan smiled, and turned to look at the human sovereign's sword, and the heavenly scripture of the sea that was being suppressed by the Emperor God Emperor. Their auras were getting weaker and weaker. He made up his mind. No compensation was better than an Emperor weapon. How dare you? Tianhe Diwu trembled. If he lost the Emperor weapon, the Diwu family would kill him. Chapter 298. Don't you dare. Diwu Tianhe's hair stood on end. Yi Qinghan was too bold. Many boundary emperors were speechless. Yi Qinghan was taking advantage of every opportunity. A life in exchange for an apex monarch weapon. Anyone would be willing to do it. Diwu Tianhe had almost lost his life because of his arrogance. Now even his monarch weapon was at risk. It's not up to you whether I dare or not. If you have the guts, come out and take back the heavenly scripture of the Dao Sea. Not only will I take the heavenly scripture of the Dao Sea, I will also take your life. Yi Qinghan's killing intent surged. Diwu Tianhe was infuriated. He wanted to come out and fight with Yi Qinghan. However, even without the Apex Monarch weapon, Yi Qinghan still had two pseudo-Apex Monarch weapons. One was for offense, and the other was for defense. With the palatial Buddha pagoda protecting Yi Qinghan, no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to hurt Yi Qinghan. Zhang Yunxiao's mouth twitched. Looking at Yi Qinghan's determined eyes, he knew that Yi Qinghan wouldn't give in anymore. He shrugged and indicated that he wouldn't interfere. After all, he was the Zhang clan's Dao Realm patriarch and not Diwu Tianhe's nanny. Protecting Diwu Tianhe was standing on the side of humanity. It wasn't his responsibility to protect the heavenly scripture of the Dao Sea. Diwu Tianhe wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He looked at the other boundary emperors of the other Dao Realm sacred grounds. Most of these boundary emperors were from the same era as him. However, he chose to seal himself back then. These people were already past their prime, and had become the pillars of humanity. The experts of the 10 Dao Realm sacred grounds turned their heads and pretended not to see anything. Wouldn't it be asking for trouble if they went to provoke Yi Qinghan at this time? Yi Qinghan's lips curled up. He turned and left. It didn't matter whether he killed Diwu Tianhe or not. The heavenly scripture of the Dao Sea was what he wanted. The heavenly scripture of the Tao Ci's emperor aura dispersed. It slowly descended to the ground like an ordinary secret art. The human sovereign's sword and divine martial imperial codex were suppressing it. As long as the heavenly scripture of the Tao Ci dared to resist, the two divine weapons would definitely seal it. Yi waved his hand. Yi Qinghan took the heavenly scripture of the Tao Ci and left. Diwu's heart's Yi Qinghu. Yi Qinghan, you'll regret what you've done today. Diwu Tianhe's eyes turned red. He was so angry that he almost cried. The corners of the experts' mouths twitched as they looked at Diwu Tianhe in disdain. Only this kind of idiot who had been self-proclaimed for thousands of years, and did not use his brain before doing anything, dared to challenge the Kuang sect. Emperor Yi was injured, and Li Jie was severely injured. In exchange, he obtained an imperial armament that combined attacks and secret techniques. It was worth it no matter how they looked at it. Yi Qinghan and the others had snatched away the imperial weapon in front of everyone. Some people were gloating, but more people were envious of the identity of a disciple of the wild sect. With Yi Qinghan's protection, there was no need to be afraid of being bullied by others because of their cultivation level. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. More than 10 figures rushed toward the eccentric sect. Jin Yan, the daughter of the 45th Battle Zone's quasi-emperor, was extremely talented. However, she was just a rogue cultivator. She didn't have enough resources, and she didn't want to become a plaything of the emperor's son. Thus, she relied on herself to cultivate to this stage. Brother Yi, I'm Jin Yan, a rogue cultivator. I want to join the eccentric sect. Jin Yan said frankly. She was a 6th-tier immortal realm cultivator. Her combat strength was slightly weaker than Sikong Qingjun. However, with the support of the eccentric sect's resources, Jin Yan's future was unpredictable. Yi Qinghan hesitated for a moment. To join the eccentric sect, one had to first consider one's character, then one's will, and finally one's talent. Jin Yan's talent was undoubtedly better than his own. It was just that she didn't have enough resources. You need to be tested. I won't comment on your talent. If you can pass Emperor Ye's illusion, you can join the eccentric sect. Yi Qinghan stared at Jin Yan. He wanted to strengthen the eccentric sect, so he accepted Jin Yan. After all, there weren't many female cultivators, and powerful female cultivators were even rarer. The eccentric sect was full of men, so they needed some women to run the house. Brother Yi, I'm Lu Quebec. I also want to join the eccentric sect. Lu Ke was the first cultivator of the younger generation to emerge. He had been fighting all the way until now, which was enough to prove his strength. I'm Zhang Chuanqiu from the ancient battlefield. I'm a rogue cultivator, and I also want to join the eccentric sect. A dignified voice resounded through the mountains and rivers. A handsome young man appeared. There was a stalk of time grass in the depths of his sea of consciousness. His eyes were deep and soul-stirring. It was as if one could see the ancient times and the future from his eyes. Zhang Chuanqiu? Yi Qinghan frowned and glanced at Lu Quebec. There weren't many geniuses like him, but they weren't few either. The key was the will. As for Zhang Chuanqiu, he was a little scary. His black and white polychoreographed eyes were a gift that contained supreme will. One glance was enough to kill a cultivator of the same level. Without the support of a sect, this kind of ultimate genius would also die prematurely. Zhang Chuanqiu wanted to rely on the eccentric sect to develop. He didn't ask for any resources from Yi Qinghan, but at least he could rely on the dignity of the eccentric sect to rise fairly. He just had to endure a little injustice. I'm Nie Tian, and I'm also interested in joining the eccentric sect. Brother Yi, do you think I'm qualified? Nie Tian carried the giant axe, and his whole body was full of vicissitudes, as if he had experienced the ancient times. Sikong Qingjun and the others' eyes lit up. They immediately clasped their fists and said, Are you Nie Tian, the Panga Divine King of the ancient battlefield? You are? I just saw you use the Thunder God's golden jade rod. Are you Sikong Qingjun of the ancient battlefield? Nie Tian was surprised. It seemed that the two of them had been friends for a long time in the ancient battlefield. Yi Qinghan and Sikong Qingjun looked at each other, and knew that they could make friends with Nie Tian. There was no need for a test. Thank you for your help before. The eccentric sect welcomes you to join us. Yi Qinghan's emotions were calm, but he was still very happy. If Jin Yan, Liu Ke, and Zhang Chuanqiu could pass Emperor Ye's illusion test and confirm that they were sincere in joining the eccentric sect and would not betray it, then the strength of the eccentric sect would definitely increase dramatically. There were more than a dozen young experts with them. They were all rogue cultivators with extraordinary combat strength. They hoped to have someone to rely on in this chaotic world. In this era, individual combat strength was a joke. Without a strong sect, one could be killed at any time. Just like the divine dragon Dao body at the end of the barbaric era. Whether it was talent, will, or body, a rogue cultivator, they were all unparalleled in both ancient and modern times. But in the end, they still died prematurely. Before Yi Qinghan could speak, more than a dozen figures rushed over from the direction of Emperor Abyss City. Some of them had very familiar auras. Qianlong Breaking Dawn of the Qianlong clan greets Lord Emperor Yi. Qianlong Breaking Dawn rushed over with 10 of the clan's experts. They were dressed in blood-red robes. It was unknown how many hardships they had gone through to come to the imperial domain from Qianlong planet. Their combat strength had improved a lot, and their temperament had changed. The 10 of them knelt on one knee. Although they were all Emperor-level experts, they did not feel embarrassed at all. They faced Emperor Yi respectfully. Emperor Yi raised his palm and quickly helped them up. He said gently, "There's no need to do this next time. It's my great honor to have you follow me. Just call me Yi." "My lord, we came late to save you. Please forgive us." Qianlong Breaking Dawn was still respectful. At this moment, the wounds on his body had not healed and were dripping with blood. Yi Qinghan frowned. Qianlong Breaking Dawn and the others had joined forces to use the Tyrant Martial Attack Technique and Qianlong Combined Attack Technique. With 10 of them at the second stage of the Immortal Gate, and one at the fifth stage of the Immortal Gate, it would be difficult for Emperor Yi to win. Why were they in such a miserable state now? Yi Qinghan did not hesitate to return to the Immortal Gate. "My Immortal Gate will not be selfish. As long as you pass the test, you will be my brothers and sisters. You will be the first generation of elders and protectors of the Immortal Gate." Nearly 50 people entered the Immortal Gate. Emperor Yi was in charge of the test. Yi Qinghan brought the unconscious Li Jiucheng to the alchemy room and injected the best 7th grade sacred pill into his body. Li Jiucheng's injuries were instantly healed. His realm and physical body were rapidly growing stronger. Cough cough. Li Jiucheng coughed out a mouthful of blood. When he saw Yi Qinghan, he immediately shouted, "Master, disciple is useless. Big senior sister is in danger." I already know. My son is fine. You can rest at ease and recuperate. I will bestow upon you a secret technique later. Yi Qinghan nodded solemnly. Since Yi Futian was unwilling to leave Ren Huangyi until his death, he was worth nurturing. Li Jiucheng looked much older. This battle was a blow to him. When the real invincible king appeared, his combat strength and realm were not enough. Time passed slowly. With the sacred pill, Li Jiucheng quickly recovered his combat strength. He wanted to break through to the next realm, but he was suppressed by Yi Qinghan. "Don't break through for now. Your combat strength in the same realm can continue to improve. Your will is enough to make you a supreme almighty. For now, I will teach you the secret technique of the dragon subduing seal. If you can complete the first level within a month, I will bestow the dragon subduing seal to you." Yi Qinghan flipped his palm, and the dragon subduing seal appeared. Li Jiucheng was stunned. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to give him such a pseudo-extreme Dao Emperor weapon. "You know the meaning of protection the best. Jiucheng, you started cultivating late, but I don't think it will affect your future. If you want to protect, you must be strong. The secret technique of the dragon subduing seal is difficult and tedious. It tortures the soul. To be honest, I have not even reached the first level. Now you will complete it for me." Yi Qinghan placed the secret technique in front of Li Jiucheng and said, "Master, I will not let you down." Li Jiucheng was excited. He clenched his fists and thought, "If I can successfully cultivate the secret technique of the dragon subduing seal, I will be able to fight against the fifth sky ravine with the dragon subduing seal. Here are the pills. They are specially made for you to recover your soul. For this month, you don't have to do anything. Focus on cultivating the secret technique of the dragon subduing seal. Yi Qinghan handed the dragon subduing seal to Li Jiucheng and said, "Give the secret technique to the fated person. I, Yi Qinghan, will not waste a pseudo-extreme Dao Emperor weapon. If you are not qualified to use it, I will take it back." Li Jiucheng knelt down and said, "I will not disappoint you, master. I am willing to protect the crazy sect with my life. I will protect every disciple of the crazy sect." Yi Qinghan nodded slightly. He patted Li Jiucheng's shoulder and walked out of the alchemy room. He walked towards the martial arts practice field. Emperor Yi played the sound of nature on the martial arts practice field. Divine light shrouded everyone as if they were in a fairyland. Some of them had clear eyes and were ready to die. Some of them had blurred eyes and were filled with greed. Chapter 299. On the martial arts field, 40 to 50 young experts looked solemn. They had all fallen into an illusion. Emperor Ye's music was the purest, making it impossible to tell if it was real or fake. Yi Qinghan stepped into the martial arts field and touched Emperor Ye's forehead with his fingertip. He looked into his mind and saw the illusion that everyone was in. The insane sect was in danger. Most of the people were willing to die with the insane sect. However, there were also a few who were afraid of death and chose to escape, taking away a large number of the insane sect's treasures along the way. Emperor Yi was calm and unperturbed. His 10 fingers plucked the strings of the guqin. The music slowly dissipated and the heroes came back to their senses. Some of them turned purple and left guiltily. Nie Tian was also shocked by Emperor Ye's music. Such heavenly music could be played by someone else. How pure was Emperor Ye's soul! Welcome to the insane sect. May the insane sect's glory and honor be with you. Yi Qinghan was very satisfied with the performance of these people. This time, more than 30 people had been recruited, and the insane sect had reached 60 people. The number of people might not be as many as a first-grade sect, but the insane sect focused on quality over quantity. Anyone in the insane sect could be conferred the title of king. The key was that they were loyal to the insane sect and treated it as their home. Zhang Chuanxiu clasped his fists and said, "Thank you, Daoist Yi, for providing a safe place for us. I don't dare to say anything else, but I, Zhang Chuanxiu, dare to say that if the insane sect falls, I, Zhang Chuanxiu, will be the first to die." Yi Qinghan smiled. This was the kind of elite he wanted. Those below the 5th level of the celestial sect are the first-generation disciples. The eldest senior sister is still Emperor Yi, and the eldest senior brother is still at the 9th level of the celestial sect. Those above the 5th level of the celestial sect are the elders and protectors of the sect. Yi Qinghan stared at the crowd and said in a low voice, "I treat you kindly because we are all from the human race. I don't want to see you die for resources. However, there is no free lunch in this world, and the same goes for the crazy sect. We will not provide you with 7th grade sacred herbs for free. Even 6th grade supreme elixirs are not free. You have to exchange them with contribution points. As long as you are willing to pay, I, Yi Qinghan, will treat you as my family. Whoever dares to bully you because of their realm and weapons will be my mortal enemy. The monarch weapon is willing to revive you." Everyone was excited. With an emperor weapon protecting them, who would dare to bully them just because of their cultivation level? The reason why they joined the Kuang sect was that they were afraid that the emperor's sons from the secluded wealthy sects and sacred lands, as well as the Dao realm cultivators from the superpowers, would kill them just because they were in a higher realm. The crazy sect could exchange contribution points for 6th grade and even 7th grade sacred herbs. This was not something an ordinary force could provide. Yi Qinghan waved his hand, and more than 40 7th grade sacred herbs appeared. They were filled with great Dao patterns, and their fragrance filled the entire crazy sect. The medicinal power stimulated the qi and blood of the heroes. A 7th grade sacred herb for each of you. This is a personal gift from me. Yi Qinghan used his soul to control objects and push the sacred herbs in front of everyone. It was definitely a generous gift. Everyone bowed and clasped their fists. Thank you, sect leader. Except for the first-generation disciples, the rest are brothers and sisters. You don't have to be so polite. As for the first-generation disciples, I have received your bow, so naturally, I will train you. Yi Qinghan stared at the elites and said in a low voice. The next day, the crazy sect issued an expansion order through the ancient massacre god to establish the outer sect of the crazy sect, which caused a huge uproar. Even the outer sect had strict requirements. First, one had to pass Emperor Ye's illusion test. If one could not pass the test, no matter how talented one was, they would not be allowed in. The second requirement was one's will, and the third was one's talent. There was no requirement for one's realm. Even a mortal could participate in the test. Such requirements were an opportunity for small forces or ordinary families. They could always recruit some weirdos, just like Lin Wutian and Huang Xiaohu. Compared to the rich and powerful sects, they could not be recruited, but they became members of the crazy sect. Who could say that they could not become pseudo-emperors or even quasi-emperors in the future? This was especially so for Taiwan. Yi Qinghan didn't know how to nurture him. This kind of great emperor Dao fruit didn't have the memories of his previous life. Once he recovered his memories, he would be a great emperor with the memories of 2 lives. The insane sect had opened the entrances of all the major star areas. Many people didn't know what rank the insane sect was, and why they could open the entrances of all the major star areas. However, the fact that the insane sect was able to open the entrances of all the major star areas was enough to attract the attention of many elite geniuses. The crazy sect expanded the outer sect and invited heroes from all over the world. Once the true supreme elites joined, they would be the protectors of the inner sect and the sect master of the outer sect. This made many rogue cultivators excited. Yi Qinghan stared at the map of the sovereign domain and secretly thought. He decided to use the inner sect as the base to expand in all directions, surrounding the inner sect and establishing 100 outer sect branches. 100 outer sect branches. Each branch would recruit 1,000 people. 100 outer sect branches would be 100,000 people. It would require a lot of resources. Yi Qinghan invited Xia Qiyue. After all, he was the crown prince of the heavenly dragon sacred dynasty. He could see the whole situation clearly. Xia Qiyue knew about Yi Qinghan's idea. He pondered for a moment and said, Brother Yi, you want to catch all the geniuses of the sovereign domain in one fell swoop. You have to consider the location of the outer sect branches. Brother Xia, you are familiar with the sovereign domain. I hope you can give me some advice. I want to ensure the safety of the inner sect. These outer sect branches are like a net. They not only absorb the geniuses, but they are also responsible for intelligence. If there are any invaders, the inner sect can at least know in advance. Yi Qinghan said. Xia Qiyue nodded and said, The ancient massacre god is behind you, which is in the east. You don't have to worry about that. The Sky Dragon Sacred Dynasty is in the southeast, so you don't have to worry about it. However, the intersection between the ancient massacre god and the Sky Dragon Sacred Dynasty is in the Half-Moon City. You have to set up an outer sect fulcrum in the south, which is the place that leads to the other star regions. You have to set up an inner sect fulcrum in the shape of a half-moon, with a total of 17 cities. Xia Qiyue kept marking on the map. There were a few places that were especially thick. These places must be defended by trustworthy people. The west is the direction to the forbidden area. The northwest is the direction to the 10,000 races territory. These 2 directions. Xia Qiyue directly drew 2 fan-shaped arcs. They were more than 500 li away from each other. They could help each other. Xia Qiyue was indeed the crown prince of the heavenly dragon sacred dynasty. She marked more than 120 marks on the map. They surrounded the inner sect tightly. Every outer sect was guarding each other. They were not far away from the major cities and the outer sect forces of the Dao realm Holy Lands. Once the outer sect was attacked, the outer sect forces of the Dao realm Holy Lands would not dare to stand by and do nothing. There were a total of 125 branches. Each outer sect had to have at least 1,000 people. There were 10 elders, 10 protectors, and 1 outer sect leader. This meant that Yi Qinghan had to find 125 super experts like Muyo Tianqian who could suppress the elites. Xia Qiyue stared at Yi Qinghan and said in a low voice, "So many people can't be gathered in one day. Even an 8th-rank sect wouldn't be able to gather so many people in a short period of time. Therefore, I suggest that you start with Half Moon City, Eastern City, a total of 18 cities. As long as these 18 cities are stable, the inner sect can rest easy." Yi Qinghan nodded. With Xia Qiyue's reminder, the entire imperial domain could be seen clearly. Resources are your fatal weakness. The resources in the imperial domain have been distributed. It's almost impossible for you to snatch them from them. You will cause the other forces to join forces and fight back. Xia Qiyue stared at Yi Qinghan and had to remind him. Without resources, no matter how grand your expansion is, it won't last long. Yi Qinghan was silent. Without resources, the sect couldn't develop at all. They couldn't always cooperate with the other races. It was too dangerous. Once the 12 great Saint Royal clans and the royal family joined forces to suppress them, the insane sect would collapse. Yi Qinghan didn't want to be controlled by others. "Brother Xia, do you have any good suggestions?" Yi Qinghan frowned and asked. In today's endless universe, except for some very dangerous places, the other rich stars have been occupied by the prominent clans and hidden clans. It's almost impossible to establish a huge crazy sect. If I were you, I would build the inner gate and outer gate of the crazy sect in. Xia Qiyue pointed to the northeast. At the edge of the human clan's ancestral land, the eternal battlefield. Eternal battlefield. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. Xia Qiyue's thoughts were really wild. Was he going to occupy the entire imperial domain? That's right. The eternal battlefield is the imperial domain of the ancient times. The ruins of the powerful sects are there. Although it's dangerous, the resources there are countless times more than any other star. It's enough for the insane sect to become a 9th-grade imperial sect. The premise is that someone in the insane sect can prove their Tao. Xia Qiyue's eyes flashed with excitement. The eternal battlefield is a dead area. If there are experts fighting there, the outside world won't know. If you don't have an imperial weapon, I won't agree with you to build the insane sect there. But you have 2 imperial weapons and the ancestral land behind you. Even if it's closer to the ancestral land, I don't believe that they will risk their lives to fight against the human emperor's guardian sword and the divine martial imperial codex. Xia Qiyue's blood was boiling, as if she saw a powerful sect rising. The disciples of the insane sect can rely on the external support to constantly eliminate the dangers. After thousands of years, they will be able to occupy the entire eternal battlefield. With enough resources, there will be no need to worry about people joining the insane sect. Xia Qiyue clenched her iron fists and stared at Yi Qinghan. She said in a deep voice, "If Brother Yi dares to do this, I'm willing to give up my position as the crown prince and help the insane sect to build a supreme divine dynasty that surpasses the 9th grade." Yi Qinghan's dragon blood rushed in reverse. He tapped the table with his fingertips and summoned the parrot. He said, "Go and find Nie Tian and Sikong Qingjun." Nie Tian and Sikong Qingjun were old foxes in the eternal battlefield. With their support, the insane sect might be able to conquer the eternal battlefield. This was a terrifying plan. Attacking the eternal battlefield with the power of one sect. Once they occupied it, it would be enough to make the 10 Dao realm holy lands jealous. Chapter 300. In the main hall of the insane sect, Nie Tian and Sikong Qingjun looked at Yi Qinghan and Xia Qiyue. Their pupils shrank slightly and the corners of their mouths twitched. They didn't speak for a long time. Building a sect on the eternal battlefield was the craziest idea for several generations. That place was extremely dangerous and boundless. There were a lot of places, but it was too dangerous. Experts like Sikong Qingjun and Nie Tian only dared to wander around the periphery. They didn't dare to go deep into the eternal battlefield. Did I hear it wrong? You want to bring the insane sect into the eternal battlefield? Nie Tian took a deep breath and looked at Yi Qinghan in surprise. He had a feeling that there was nothing a crazy and persistent person like Yi Qinghan wouldn't dare to do. Yes, you didn't hear it wrong. I want to build the insane sect on the eternal battlefield. You guys have been training there all year round. Do you have any good suggestions? Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. Sikong Qingjun knew Yi Qinghan well. He didn't hesitate and drew all the areas he had visited in the eternal battlefield according to his memory. Then, Nie Tian also drew all the areas he knew about the eternal battlefield. The two maps were merged, but the two areas couldn't be connected. Xia Qiyue continued to make marks on the map, but didn't say anything. The most important thing now was to find the Eternal Imperial Domain star indicator, and show the entire Eternal Imperial Domain. Soon Yi Qinghan went to the ancient massacre god, and found the Eternal Imperial Domain star indicator. It was very complete and could match the areas Sikong Qingjun and Nie Tian had visited. The two people were about 5,000 miles away from each other. There was a huge mountain range between them. It was very dangerous. As long as the mountain range was opened, the insane sect could be built on this land. With the sect as the base, the disciples of the insane sect could form teams to train. Resources, training grounds, territory. Yi Qinghan and Xia Qiyue looked at each other and smiled. This plan had taken root and could be implemented soon. A large number of elites had gathered outside the insane sect, waiting for the assessment. Arrogant and unruly geniuses had gathered. These were all elites who had stayed in the imperial domain all year round. They knew what the insane sect was and why so many young people were crazy about joining it. It was because there was a madman here who was very protective of his own people. He would not even give face to the reclusive aristocratic families. So what if they were from the imperial family? Why do you want to join the insane sect? Emperor Yi hugged the divine zither tightly with his eyes closed. Lin Wutian and Huang Xiaohu flanked him on both sides as they stood in front of the crowd. Of course, I want to live like a man so that I don't have to worry about being oppressed by experts of a higher realm. Most of the answers were similar. They hoped to rely on the insane sect. If you join the Guangzong and the Guangzong is in danger, will you choose to fight to the death or leave? Before you take the test, ask yourself this question first before you decide whether you want to take the test or not. Emperor Yi took out the Enlightenment Divine Lotus. His clear eyes seemed to be able to see through people's souls. Everyone was silent for a moment. Soon, someone stood up and said in a deep voice, I dare to join the Guang sect. I'm not afraid of death. At this moment, Yi Qinghan stepped out of the sect. He was very satisfied to see at least 1,000 geniuses and elites coming to take the test. My son, I'll leave the test of the insane sect to you. I'm going out for a while. I'll leave the guardian sword to you. You have to protect the insane sect. Yi Qinghan rubbed Emperor Ye's head with his big hand, and sent the guardian sword into Emperor Ye's consciousness. Master, when will you be back? Emperor Yi looked at Yi Qinghan reluctantly. This was a critical time, and she had to come out and take charge. I'll go to the ancient space where I went for the last trial. I'm not sure when, but I'll let Prince Xia help you. If there's something you can't handle, discuss it with them. Don't be too aggressive. If the people of the Diwu family come, seal the sect first. Don't fight recklessly. Everything will wait for my return. Yi Qinghan instructed. Emperor Yi nodded. Yi Qinghan turned and left. In the headquarters of the hunters, Yi Qinghan found the location of the space where he went for the trial, through the heavenly palace god. Quasi-Emperor Qin Hung personally helped to tear open the space, and he stepped in alone. This space had been sealed, and the experts of the 10,000 races could not enter. Only a small number of creatures were wandering around, and the smell of blood was disgusting as the wind blew. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath, and strode toward the mountain range where the emperor corpses of the 10,000 races were located. In the endless swamp, there were mountains of corpses. Some of the corpses were still golden and full of origin laws, showing how terrifying they were when they were alive. Yi Qinghan walked forward on the clear waves. After walking for thousands of kilometers, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. This place was a little different from the last time he was here. What's going on? When I came here before, there were many creatures and snakes. Why is there not a single one now? Yi Qinghan raised his eyes and looked into the depths. He found that there was a hazy blood mist here, and an indescribable sense of danger shrouded him, as if a pair of terrifying eyes were staring at him. Hundreds of miles away, a thick 7-colored snake had already evolved into 8 different colors, becoming an 8th-ranked venomous snake. The colors were bright, and it was more than 3 meters long. Its 2 eyes were soul-stirring, and it kept spitting out its red forked tongue. Its 2 fangs were long and thin, and its venom was spilling out. Everywhere it passed, there was dead silence. Swoosh swooshed at the 7-colored snake was extremely fast, like lightning, and disappeared in a flash. Screech the god-slaying eagle woke up and rushed out of Yi Qinghan's body. It evolved into a mini version of the god-slaying eagle and squatted on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. It looked around vigilantly and secretly transmitted its voice. "Master, there's a terrifying 8th-grade venomous snake here. It's likely to have reached the 9th tier of the Immortal Gate." The parrot was also awakened by this aura. It rushed out of Yi Qinghan's body and sniffed. It cried out in shock. "It's that despicable little snake again. I didn't expect it to evolve so quickly and become an 8th-grade venomous snake. It probably swallowed the corpse of the 8th-grade venomous snake beside the mountain range. Let's leave this place quickly." Whoosh! A sound pierced through the air and entered Yi Qinghan's ears. The 8-colored snake was coiled up in front of him, standing on the withered grass. It kept spitting out its tongue and staring at Yi Qinghan, and the god-slaying eagle on his shoulder. Its eyes were filled with venom and hostility. The parrot was right. This 8-colored snake had evolved and already had the strength of a top-tier Immortal Gate expert. It was definitely not inferior to a divine martial expert. It didn't even care about its natural enemy, the god-slaying eagle. This kind of gifted venomous snake could bite the Tianwu Emperor when it was at the peak of the 8th grade. It could even bite a huge hole in the Tianwu Emperor's back, causing the Tianwu Emperor to fall. This showed its venom and speed. This multicolored snake was probably not inferior to the 8th grade Azure Dragon bloodline. It could be even more dangerous. Screech! The god-slaying eagle let out a shrill cry. It flapped its wings in the air and glared at the multicolored snake. Although the god-slaying eagle was now at the peak of the 7th grade, it was already in the divine martial realm. It had an insurmountable advantage over all snake-type creatures, including this multicolored snake. The multicolored snake was very cautious. It bent its body and would attack like lightning at any time. The venom on its tongue and fangs sprayed out. The surroundings were filled with an unbearable stench, affecting Yi Qinghan's qi and blood. "Fuck this despicable little snake." The parrot bristled and shouted at the god-slaying eagle. "Quick! Eat this disgusting reptile." Screech! The god-slaying eagle took the initiative to attack. Its sharp claws tore through the air and grabbed at the multicolored snake. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The multicolored snake was like a miniature version of the divine dragon. Its speed was as fast as lightning. When it moved, it shook the heavens and earth. It soared into the sky and roamed the world, pouncing on the god-slaying eagle. Yi Qinghan retreated slightly. He saw that the venomous snake and the god-slaying eagle had already turned into shadows. It was difficult to grasp their trajectories. He could not help but frown. He used the God Martial Emperor code to slow down their speed. He watched as the multicolored snake coiled around the god-slaying eagle. It quickly dodged the god-slaying eagle's attack, and waited for an opportunity to pounce on the god-slaying eagle. The god-slaying eagle's beak was sharp enough to pierce through the top-notch Dao soldiers of immortal sections. Its destructive power was extremely strong. However, it could not attack the multicolored snake. The multicolored snake stuck close to the god-slaying eagle's body and coiled together. The snake's head kept dodging and attacking. Its fangs were soul-stealing. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The snake's tongue kept being spat out, affecting the god-slaying eagle's senses. Although the god-slaying eagle was the natural enemy of snakes, it had no advantage against the multicolored snake. Yi Qinghan frowned. He looked at the multicolored snake's angle of attack, and its tactic of sticking close to the god-slaying eagle. Suddenly, a beam of light exploded in the depths of his sea of knowledge. He seemed to have understood something. Coiling, sticking, short-range attacks, and explosive power were all used to the extreme by the multicolored snake. At this moment, the multicolored snake could no longer be called a snake. It was like a heavenly dragon. Whether it was in terms of intelligence or combat power, it far surpassed other living creatures. Such a gifted venomous creature could actually gain an advantage against its natural enemy in a battle that transcended realms. This made it much more terrifying. The god-slaying eagle let out a shrill roar. Its sharp claws kept swiping at the multicolored snake. However, each time it missed and instead hit its own body. The venomous snake's coiling technique was used to the extreme. It was almost sticking close to the god-slaying eagle's body as it tightened. Yi Qinghan moved. He did not help the god-slaying eagle. Instead, he mimicked the multicolored snake's attack from the side. Coiling. Sticking. Explosive. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Hiss hiss hiss. Yi Qinghan's body was like a water snake. He kept attacking. Within an inch of distance, he could release 70% of his combat power. If others were to see this, they would definitely be shocked. However, this was far from the result that Yi Qinghan expected. Within an inch of distance, the venomous snake could release 200% of its combat power. This combat power was terrifying. More importantly, it stuck close to the enemy and coiled around the enemy's body. It prevented the enemy from releasing their advantage, and would instead injure themselves. Once such a mystic technique could be created, no matter how powerful the enemy was, once Yi Qinghan got close to them, it would not be difficult for him to fight someone of a higher realm. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Yi Qinghan's speed was extremely fast. He kept attacking the void. He used a portion of the water origin quintessence to make his body as soft as bone. His iron palms were constantly changing. Fist, claw, capture. His offensive mystic techniques were not only self-created moves. There were also great Tao nomological laws and quintessence. His speed was as fast as lightning. It was like a heavenly dragon coiling around the sky. Even heaven and earth could not escape its shackles. Chapter 301. In the ancient space, the eagle soared into the sky and the heavenly dragon coiled around. It was as powerful as lightning, so fast that it was impossible to capture its trajectory. The multicolored snake was gifted and its speed was unparalleled. It was not at a disadvantage even though it was at a lower realm, and was facing its natural enemy. It continued to attack the god-slaying eagle, paying a small price to make the god-slaying eagle's blood essence spill. Its vigorous energy and blood became dim, and its vitality dissipated. Yi Qinghan's speed became faster and faster, stirring up gusts of wind. The swamp was lifted, and the murky rainwater formed a heavenly dragon that covered time and space. The parrot could not stand Yi Qinghan's current aura. It felt as if it was stepping on the shoulders of a great emperor, or standing on the body of a ninth-rank heavenly dragon. It no longer cared about the power of bloodline, but how could it not care about a ninth-rank heavenly dragon? Inhuman. The parrot smiled bitterly and cursed. It immediately distanced itself from Yi Qinghan. Hiss hiss hiss. Yi Qinghan was paying attention to the battle between the multicolored snake and the god-slaying eagle while immersing himself in the secret technique that he had created. An hour later, Yi Qinghan broke free from his epiphany. He was like a divine dragon that wanted to attack the heavens. He looked down at the pathetic god-slaying eagle and kept retreating, trying to distance himself from the multicolored snake. However, the multicolored snake's ability to stick to him was astonishing. He could not shake it off at all. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan turned into a long rainbow and reached out to grab the multicolored snake. The poisonous snake opened its mouth and bared its fangs. It left the god-slaying eagle's body and coiled around Yi Qinghan. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The man and the snake coiled around each other crazily. They stuck to each other and exploded in an instant, piercing through the void. Yi Qinghan did not use any weapons. He only wanted to rely on the multicolored snake to perfect the secret technique that he had created. Their speed exceeded the limit and they stuck to each other. They attacked continuously, each with their own strengths. The god-slaying eagle retreated to the side and kept licking its wounds. Its saliva could kill any venomous snake's poison. Although it was severely injured now, it would not die. Yi Qinghan's palms alternated between turning into fists and palms. Sometimes they struck out like a snake's head, and other times they turned into claws. He focused on attacking the colorful snake's weak point. The colorful snake coiled around Yi Qinghan's legs and kept tightening its grip. However, it was unable to shake off Yi Qinghan's dragon-like body. Again and again, Yi Qinghan and the colorful snake fought for more than 2 hours. Yi Qinghan's movements were as smooth as flowing water. They were ever-changing and could entangle the colorful snake to the point that it was unable to counterattack. "All right, I've played with you long enough. It's time for my counterattack." Yi Qinghan bellowed angrily. His azure dragon arm erupted and his dragon blood boiled. His 5 fingers turned into claws and grabbed at the colorful snake's vital point. The colorful snake opened its mouth and its fangs pierced through the void. It bit at Yi Qinghan's arm, trying to force Yi Qinghan to retreat. However, Yi Qinghan ignored it and allowed it to bite at him. His 5 claws wrapped around the venomous snake and kept spinning and twisting until he grabbed it by the neck. Meanwhile, the colorful snake's fangs pierced through the azure dragon arm. Large amounts of poison surged through the blood. "Humph," Yi Qinghan grunted. His metal origin Dao physique erupted. Large amounts of metal origin Dao physique were attached to his right arm. The wood element sealed the vitality and blood in his right arm. No matter how much poison there was, it was unable to shake off the encirclement of multiple elements. Fire origin Dao. Hua. The fire element immediately burned the azure dragon arm. No amount of poison could withstand the burning of a 7th-grade fire source. The colorful snake clearly did not expect Yi Qinghan to have an origin Dao physique. Apart from the earth and water elemental origins, he had gathered all the other origins. The poison lost its effect. Yi Qinghan's fingertips sank down and grabbed the colorful snake's weak spot. "Fire!" Yi Qinghan roared. His entire body was bathed in flames as he closed in on the colorful snake. As the 6 motifs true fire approached, the colorful snake felt the aura of death descend. It was terrified and immediately released its fangs. It kept flicking its forked tongue as it tried to break free from Yi Qinghan's restraint. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up. The veins on his right arm bulged as he held the colorful snake tightly. He growled, "Do you choose death or submission?" A beginner 8th-grade colorful snake was no longer as simple as a rare species. The spirit pet of the myriad race emperor in the depths of this space was only a peak 8th-grade spirit pet. It was only at the level of a quasi-emperor. However, it was able to injure the Tianwu emperor. Ordinary perfect quasi-emperors could only wait for death in front of it. Yi Qinghan was tempted by this colorful snake. He wanted to keep it for his own use. The 7th-grade fire kept closing in on the colorful snake. The scorching temperature melted its skin. Its eyes were filled with fear. It immediately gave up struggling, and its pleading was very obvious. "Take the initiative to sign a slave contract with me." Yi Qinghan shouted indifferently. The multicolored snake didn't dare to hesitate at all. It immediately chose a secret contract technique from ancient times and signed a contract with Yi Qinghan. Unless Yi Qinghan voluntarily gave up on the contract, the multicolored snake wouldn't have the slightest chance of killing its master. Whoosh! Once the contract was formed, the colorful snake turned into a heavenly dragon mark and leaned against the god-slaying eagle's mark. It was very lifelike. Yi Qinghan was secretly delighted. This poisonous snake was strong enough to kill a divine martial expert. Even the god-slaying eagle was no match for it. If he could get it, he would have obtained a treasure. After calling back the parrot, Yi Qinghan used his self-created secret technique to fight with the god-slaying eagle for a while. He realized that the god-slaying eagle was full of flaws. He could kill it almost instantly. Only then did he understand the power of this technique. Not a bad secret technique. It's very practical. I'm a body refiner. Once the opponent gets close to me, they can't do any harm to me. Yi Qinghan whispered excitedly. I'll name it Heavenly Dragon Eagle Binding Hand. This was not the first secret technique that Yi Qinghan created. The first was the Heavy Madness Seizing Spirit Art. However, the difference between the Seizing Spirit Art and the Heavenly Dragon Eagle Binding Hand was not just one grade. The Heavenly Dragon Eagle Binding Hand contained the profound meaning of the Great Tao. As long as it was close combat, it could kill a divine martial expert. It was at least comparable to a mid-tier rank, 7 martial technique. This time he had a great harvest. Not only did he create a secret technique, but he also subdued the rank, 8 multicolored snake. However, this was not Yi Qinghan's ultimate goal. What he wanted was the Emperor weapon in the depths. The Emperor weapon, the Emperor weapon, the Emperor sword. Let's go. Yi Qinghan ordered the god-slaying eagle to transform into its true form and soared into the sky. There were not many creatures left in this ancient space, especially in this swamp. They had all been killed by the multicolored snake. The god-slaying eagle spread its wings and soared high. An hour later, the mountain range in front of them appeared in their vision. Yi Qinghan spread his wings like a giant prong and rushed to the bottom of the mountain range. He discovered that the corpse of the rank 8 multicolored snake was indeed gone. It had been swallowed by the rank 8 multicolored snake. When the parrot saw Yi Qinghan coming here, it knew what his goal was and almost fell off his shoulder. Master, calm down. You're not thinking of taking away the Emperor weapon, are you? The parrot's pupils shrank. Its entire body trembled as it asked in anger. Yes, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. You're crazy. The parrot wanted to cry but had no tears. It cursed in its heart that it had such a master who did things without thinking of the consequences. I'm not crazy. As long as I gather this sword, I will have 4 Emperor weapons that can be awakened at any time. 2 of them will be guarding the sect, and 2 of them will be with me. My Guangzhong sect will have no worries. Yi Qinghan looked coldly at the depths of the mountain range. He took a deep breath and directly stepped in. Strands of emperor's might emitted an eerie cold air. The entire mountain range was devoid of birds, and the deathly stillness made one's hair stand on end. It was as if they had entered hell. No, it was even quieter than hell. Apart from trees, there was nothing else. Master, I beg you please reconsider. That thing is stuck in the head of a rank 9 ferocious beast. If you pull it out, aren't you afraid that the Emperor corpse will explode and blast you to pieces? The parrot begged in a low voice. Yi Qinghan smiled coldly. Looking at the parrot's fearful expression, he snorted and said, The Paladin Pagoda protects my golden body and the Divine Martial Imperial Code protects my soul. As long as I have a drop of essence blood, I can repair my origin Dao body. It's worth it for me to use the Paladin Pagoda to fight against the Tianwu battle sword. It's true that the Paladin Pagoda is a defensive pseudo-extreme Emperor weapon, but it's not a real Emperor weapon. In front of the Emperor corpse, it's as weak as tofu. Master, I beg you let's go back. The parrot cried bitterly and kept begging. It was most afraid of Emperor-level existences. Even if it was an Emperor corpse, it did not dare to provoke it. I've made up my mind. Don't say another word. If you dare to say another word, I'll pull out the sword and stuff you into the Emperor corpse's head. Yi Qinghan said coldly. The parrot immediately shut its mouth and did not dare to say another word. Yi Qinghan quickly rushed into the mountain range. The cliff was stained with blood. Emperor blood would never dry up. The cliff was dyed red by the Emperor blood. The dense pressure made it hard for people to breathe. Yi Qinghan's dragon blood boiled. The azure dragon physique erupted, and dragon scales covered his golden body. Every step he took caused the mountain rocks to crack. Every step he took was difficult. The humanoid emperor's robes fluttered in the wind. His eyes were ferocious as if he was alive. He could sense the dragon blood. The emperor blood flowed and divine light fluctuated. A strand of terrifying will gathered and swept towards Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. Dragon race, brat. Help this emperor. Leave and pull out the sword. This emperor will bestow upon you fortune. Yi Qinghan's hands trembled and his eyes widened. Had this terrifying 9th stage creature really broken free from the category of mortals? How many years had it been dead? His will had not dissipated yet. Senior, may I ask which race you are the emperor of? Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He purposely released the azure dragon blood to the strongest level to confuse the emperor corpse's judgment. This humanoid emperor might have been suppressed for too long. When it sensed the dragon blood and azure dragon physique, it thought that Yi Qinghan had the dragon race's bloodline. This emperor, Pangolin race, help this emperor leave. I will bestow upon you the emperor blood. The humanoid emperor corpse's will was chaotic. It was unwilling to be suppressed even after death. It wanted to break free. Pangolins were pets of the earth. Their blood contained a lot of earth elements, especially emperor pangolins. They contained earth elements and the mysteries of the earth element. They did not need to be bitterly cultivated. After a long time, one could automatically comprehend them. This creature could travel through the earth and mountains as if they were nothing. Who would have thought that the Tianwu Emperor would suppress it in the mountain range? The Tianwu Emperor's strength was terrifying to the extreme. Yi Qinghan's expression was extremely respectful. He could give up the emperor blood, but he had to take the sword. If he could obtain the emperor blood of the pangolin, that would be the best. Emperor, please do not resist. This brat might not be able to withstand your pressure. Yi Qinghan knelt on one knee and said in a deep voice, "Take the sword. I will bestow upon you the emperor blood." The humanoid emperors will continue to gather and become denser. The pangolin's desire to break free grew stronger. Chapter 302. The battle sword spanned the past and the present. Even now, it was still majestic. Even though the pangolin was dead, it was still a humanoid emperor. It was still suppressed by the battle sword, and could not resist at all. Yi Qinghan's fingertips trembled slightly. He slowly stood up and took a deep breath. He activated the blood corpse Lingji, and gathered a bit of the Tianwu Emperor's blood. He reached for the Tianwu battle sword. The Tianwu battle sword had its own soul. It was very familiar with the Tianwu Emperor's aura. When Yi Qinghan approached, it did not resist. Instead, it was somewhat happy. It trembled and took the initiative to pull itself out of the cliff and fly into Yi Qinghan's hand. Boom! The humanoid emperor corpse's seal was removed. Its aura broke through space and spread into the endless universe. Roar! Dragon brat! Why do you have the aura of the human race, and that bastard Tianwu in your blood? The pangolin broke free from the restraints. The emperor corpse was still unyielding. It roared, containing the emperor's will. Even with the martial god code protecting his soul, it still made him vomit blood. Puff! Yi Qinghan clenched his battle sword and rolled away, crashing into a mountain in the distance. He didn't dare to run away, so he continued to circulate his divine sense. A bright light flashed in his eyes as he hurriedly explained, "Great Emperor, when I was outside, I swallowed the blood corpse Lingji, which was formed from the Tianwu Emperor's blood essence. So that's how it is. That bastard is dead. Ah, he's finally dead. He died before me." The pangolin raised its head and roared. The bloody hole in its head kept on spewing out death chi. The parrot was foaming at the mouth. It muttered, "He's not dead yet." Then it fainted. Yi Qinghan did not dare to say anything. This pangolin's lifespan was too terrifying. It had lived until now. However, its divine sense was not clear. Its lifespan was also approaching. The pangolin's lifespan was longer than ordinary creatures. In addition, it was able to reach the emperor's bloodline. It was already talented. Now that it had reached the 9th rank emperor level, its life force was extremely tenacious. It was still alive even after being sealed by the battle sword for countless years. Yi Qinghan naturally couldn't understand. In these past few years, the pangolin's soul had blocked out everything. Its emperor's physique had blocked out the flow of time, allowing it to live for so long. Otherwise, it would have died a long time ago. Boom! The pangolin crushed the cliff with a single step. Its powerful body exuded an aura of death. Its body was already dead, but its soul was still there. "I'll bestow upon you sovereign blood." Whoosh! The pangolin forced out a drop of essence blood, and with a flick of its finger, it landed on the battle sword. The round drop of emperor's blood exuded a dense emperor's aura, and divine light filled the sky. It contained the laws of the great Tao, and the pressure forced Yi Qinghan to his knees. He could barely hold the sword with both hands. Whoosh! The pangolin tore through the void and left, leaving Yi Qinghan kneeling at the foot of the cliff. His hands were trembling, and it was unknown whether he was happy or sad. The emperor's blood was too powerful. If this drop of emperor's blood had landed on his body, it would have instantly destroyed his body. Even the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda wouldn't have been able to protect him. Yi Qinghan trembled as he took out a jade bottle and placed the emperor's blood inside. The emperor's blood didn't shatter the bottle, because this was the bottle human Emperor Xianyuan used to store the 7th grade fire source. It was priceless and could contain any treasure. After some time passed, the parrot began to tremble as it tried to wake up. When it saw the bizarre smile on Yi Qinghan's face, it almost seemed as if it were convulsing. One of these days, you're going to die because of your gall. That's a matter for the future. I always thought that you were very courageous, but today it seems that you are only SOSO. You were so scared that you frothed at the mouth and fainted. Ha! Yi Qinghan coldly mocked. The parrot was so angry that it trembled. If it weren't for the contract, it would have definitely killed Yi Qinghan. Looking at Yi Qinghan's mocking expression, it immediately became angry. I am a spirit-devouring divine eagle, and I belong to the myriad races. Encountering the emperor of the myriad races at such close range, my performance is already not bad. Your performance was really good. Yi Qinghan stood up and stroked the battle sword. With a trace of the emperor's aura, he recognized the sword as its master and took it away. Let's go. Yi Qinghan summoned the god-slaying eagle and rushed out of the cliff. In the imperial domain outside the insane clan, a young man with an unparalleled vigor and bearing similar to Yi Qinghan appeared. His hair fluttered in the wind, and his appearance startled the people of the insane clan, especially Sikong Qingjun, Muyo Tianchen, and the others. Nangong Powu, you are still alive. Muyo Tianchen's eyes flashed as he walked towards Nangong Powu. Nangong Powu, Yi Qinghan's only disciple in his previous life, unexpectedly took the initiative to come here today. Boom. Nangong Powu directly knelt outside the insane sect, his long spear stabbed into the ground. He ignored the others and kowtowed 9 times at the gate of the insane sect without using his true essence. Disciple Nangong Powu beseeches master to show himself. Disciple has something important to say. Nangong Powu's voice was hoarse, his eyes were red and he looked exhausted. Emperor Yi stepped out of the insane sect and frowned. She naturally knew about Nangong Powu, Yi Qinghan and Jian Shui. Yi Qinghan never had the time to look for them. She didn't expect that one of them would take the initiative to appear today. Wang, Emperor Yi suddenly erupted, and a strand of zither music blasted into Nangong Powu's mind without warning, bringing him into an illusion. Owl Warstar appeared in Nangong Powu's mind. The memory of that time drove Nangong Powu crazy. He crawled up and roared, Master's wife, why did you trick me into leaving the courtyard? Why did you trick me into leaving? Why did you betray Owl Warstar? Emperor Yi frowned. Not only did she not relax, but the music became even more hurried. Her 10 fingers moved together, and the zither was vast and mighty. The illusion kept digging into Nangong Powu's memories, but his memories from the day before the battle with Owl Warstar were actually broken. A large portion of his memories had been completely erased. It was Jian Shui who told Nangong Powu that master was looking for him. Only then did Nangong Powu leave the courtyard, and then the array core of the 8 trigrams courtyard was uprooted. This is true, but where did Nangong Powu's memories go? Emperor Yi frowned, wanting to open her eyes. The zither erupted with a terrifying divine light, trying to shake off the layer of memory shackles, but it couldn't open. Emperor Yi pressed his 10 fingers on the divine guqin, and the music immediately dissipated. He summoned the divine lotus of comprehension, and looked at Nangong Powu, who seemed to have gone mad. He stared at Nangong Powu and asked in a crisp voice, Do you know where Jian Shui is? Nangong Powu looked at Emperor Yi warily. He didn't expect his sea of consciousness defense to be so weak in front of her. Who are you? I want to see the sect master of the insane sect. Nangong Powu suddenly retreated and said coldly, Whether you see master or not, the result is the same. Now answer a few questions of mine. Emperor Ye's eyes were clear, without any impurities, making people not dare to look directly at them. Nangong Powu was silent. He was very wary of Emperor Yi, and coldly asked, The sect master of the insane sect, Yi Qinghan, is your master? Then you should know why I didn't greet you when I saw you, but instead attacked me. Senior brother, we'll talk about it later. I only want to ask you, before and after the Battle of Owl Warstar, Were you captured? Where have you been all these years? Emperor Yi frowned. There was something wrong with Jian Shui, and there was also something wrong with this Nangong Pou. Master is not here, so I won't say anything. Just give up. Nangong Pou said indifferently. Pou, if I were you, I would choose to believe Emperor Yi. Even if you see Qing Han now, he will still investigate you and hand you over to Emperor Yi. If you really love your master, don't let him deal with this matter personally. Wait for Emperor Yi to deal with it, then let Qing Han make the final decision. Sikong Qingjun said coldly. Martial uncle, you don't believe me? Master's kindness to me is as heavy as a mountain. He is like a father to me. Owl War Star is my only home. How can I betray Owl War Star? That day, it was indeed Master's wife who told me to find Master. Heaven and earth can be my witness. I can open my mind and let you search. Nangong Pou said with a frown. Your memory is missing. I want to know, before and after the Battle of Owl War Star, were you captured? Emperor Yi asked in a deep voice. No, Nangong Pou replied without hesitation. Then what's wrong with your memory? Don't tell me you don't know that your memory is missing. You're missing a long period of time before the Battle of Owl War Star. Emperor Yi hurriedly asked. Nangong Pou frowned and shook his head. I don't know, I really don't know. In my memory, after the Battle of Owl War Star, I was always on the run. I was never captured. Then do you know where Jian Shui and Yi Kuan are? Back then, only the three of you escaped from Owl War Star. Emperor Yi clenched his fist. He wanted to help Yi Qinghan investigate this matter. If possible, he wanted to directly suppress the traitor. I know where Master's wife is, but I will only tell you when Master comes back. I don't trust anyone now. Nangong Pou replied indifferently. At this time, only Nangong Pou, Sikong Qingjun, and Emperor Yi were outside the gate of the insane sect. This was Owl War Star's business, and also Yi Qinghan's family business. Only the three of them could investigate. Emperor Yi was silent for a moment. This Nangong Pou was an important person. Before Yi Qinghan came back, this person could not go anywhere. Come with me to the insane sect. Without my permission, I want you to stay quietly in the insane sect's martial arts arena until Master comes back. If you dare to move, don't blame me for being rude. Emperor Yi warned in a deep voice. Sikong Qingjun followed behind Nangong Pou, sealed his sea of qi and spiritual consciousness, and took him into the insane sect and to the martial arts arena. The atmosphere in the insane sect became extremely oppressive, and the insane sect suspended the examination. Emperor Yi stood at the peak of the insane sect's inner sect, looking down at Nangong Pou. He frowned and muttered to himself. Who on earth sealed his memory? Even my Guqin can't awaken that part of his memory. As long as I find Jian Shui, I can find the real enemy. Don't think that you can fool everyone by erasing part of his memory. Emperor Yi gritted his teeth. His will was enough to tear the sky apart. Her desire to protect and protect had reached its peak. Once, when she was helpless, Yi Qinghan was the only one who treated her like a treasure. Now that she stood up and had the power to protect herself, no one could continue to hurt that man. At this moment, Yi Qinghan just came out of the ancient space and rushed towards the insane sect. Chapter 303. The icy cold world was like iron sealed in ice. Just the slightest touch could cause a layer of skin to fall off. Very few people went out of the sovereign domain. Cultivators could not withstand such temperatures either. They all hid in their homes, enjoying the last bit of peace in the endless universe. No one knew if they could survive this winter, and no one knew if the next great war would break out in the next moment. The human race was terrified, and all races were in a panic. Even the quasi-emperors did not have the confidence to survive this calamity. Humans could never fight against the heavens. No matter how powerful a cultivator was, they could not create such a glorious world. 10,000 miles of falling snow was a miracle. But now? It was as if the entire endless universe was covered in snow. The world was silver white as it fell with a rustling sound. Yi Qinghan stood on the training ground, allowing the snow to beat down on him. He looked at Nangong Po kneeling on the ground. His iron fist dug into his flesh, causing blood to drip. The snow under his feet was constantly dyed red, then covered by snow, then dyed red again. His vicissitudes of life were bursting with sorrow. He, who had been devoted to love all his life, had never thought that he would be betrayed. Whether it was Nangong Po or his only wife in his previous life, Jian Shui, he was not willing to accept it. Where is Jian Shui? A hoarse and indistinct voice exploded in Nangong Po's sea of consciousness. It was so loud that Nangong Po did not dare to raise his head. No one stood out to comfort Yi Qinghan. Some did not dare, some did not know how to comfort him, and some knew that Yi Qinghan did not need to be comforted. Only Emperor Yi pried open Yi Qinghan's tightly clenched hand and made him give up on tormenting himself. Perhaps only she would make Yi Qinghan unwilling to crush that soft and seemingly boneless hand. In the Qinghuang Mountain Star Field, Qinghuang Mountain Range. 3 months ago, I saw her in the outskirts of that mountain range. She had a powerful man by her side. I did not dare to act rashly and alert her. I accidentally found out that Master was still alive. Coincidentally, the space gate opened, so I took the space gate to the sovereign domain. Nangong Po said respectfully. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and stared at Nangong Po. In the Qinghuang Mountain Star Field, there was only one planet with life. It was very large, but there weren't many people on that planet. This was because it was a terrifying place that was rarely visited by the human race. The entire star field could be said to be a land of death. As long as one had a little bit of knowledge, they would know that in the depths of the Qinghuang Mountain Range, there was a sea called the Absolute Sky Sea. It had a circumference of 1,000,000 miles, and there were no birds, no laws, and no source of the great Tao. Although it was a silent sea, the water elements there didn't listen to orders. No matter how strong a quasi-emperor was, they were no different from ordinary people when they got close to that place. No one knew how that place was formed, but they all knew that no one would go there for no reason. It was already hard to explain why Jian Shui and a man were at the outskirts of the Qinling Mountains. Why would Nangong Po also appear there? Master, be careful of traps. Emperor Yi frowned and secretly transmitted his voice. Emperor Yi had an indescribable hostility and distrust toward Nangong Po. Why did you go to the Qinghuang Mountain Range? Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. Master, Our Warstar was attacked and Po was chased by several unknown forces. I ran to wherever I could, wherever there was danger. These past 10 years I've grown very fast, but I've suffered hundreds of internal injuries. The only reason I'm still alive is to avenge Our Warstar. If Master doesn't believe me, you can kill me. My life was given to me by Master. If Master takes it away, I won't complain. Nangong Po didn't care that the ground was cold, and kept kowtowing with his palms on the ground. Nangong Po was crying and kowtowing. Yi Qinghan sighed slightly. If what Nangong Po said was true, then Xiao Zhanqing owed him too much. Yi Qinghan owed him too much. Get up, follow me to the Qinghuang Mountain Star Field. Yi Qinghan didn't want to wait any longer. It was fine if there were no clues, but once there were, he didn't want to wait any longer. Master, I'll go with you. Emperor Yi pulled Yi Qinghan tightly without hesitation and said in a low voice. No, you stay in the insane sect. Yi Qinghan frowned. He didn't have much confidence in coming back alive, let alone bringing Emperor Yi with him. No. Unless you kill me, I'll definitely follow you. Emperor Yi rejected Yi Qinghan's words without hesitation. This was the first time. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. This little girl usually obeyed his every word, but when she made up her mind about something, she could cause a ruckus if he didn't listen to her. If you leave, who will take care of the insane sect? Yi Qinghan frowned and asked. Leave it to Li Jiucheng, Prince Xia, Martial Uncle Tianchun and Martial Uncle Sikong, and leave that bitch bird behind. Isn't it the same whether I'm there or not? Besides, I can at least be sure that they didn't lie to you. Emperor Yi said seriously. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment before he nodded. He found Xia Qiyue and the others and handed the crazy sect to them. He also handed the mortal emperor sword to Di Long Tian, and instructed them to listen to Li Jiucheng. He left the parrot by Di Longtian's side before he rode the god-slaying eagle and soared into the sky, charging out of the imperial region. Nangong Powu sat on the back of the god-slaying eagle and remained silent. Yi Qinghan slowly squatted down and placed his hand on Nangong Powu's pulse. He found that Nangong Powu indeed had a lot of hidden injuries. He sighed and handed over a 6th-rank healing elixir. Powu, when I find out the truth, I'll compensate you. Now, I won't trust any of you, including Jian Shui and Yi Kuan. I hope you can understand me. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Master, I can understand why you have to be so vigilant. With our cultivation bases, none of us should have been able to escape from Al Warstar. But the fact that all 3 of us managed to escape is strange. However, I can swear to the heavens that I would never betray Al Warstar, or you, Master. That's my only home. Nangong Powu looked up at Yi Qinghan. His tears fell and froze in the wind. I hope it's not you. Yi Qinghan looked up at the sky and sighed. He looked at the boundless universe and the god-slaying eagle flew like lightning towards the land of nothingness. Emperor Yi was not optimistic. He pulled Yi Qinghan and secretly transmitted his voice. Master, I think there's a big problem with Nangong Powu. I hope you can be careful and not trust him too much. The missing part of his memory is too coincidental. It happened a few days before Al Warstar's accident. If there's nothing wrong with him, why would this part of his memory be forcefully erased? And I'm sure that the person who erased his memory is at least a fake emperor. I used the strongest bewitching technique, but I couldn't read that part of his memory. It can be seen how terrifying the person behind him is. Emperor Yi reminded him seriously. Yi Qinghan was silent. Emperor Yi was an outsider. He didn't have any extra feelings. He was the most comprehensive person. What he said naturally had a lot of value. And think about it. Al Warstar's strongest cultivation was only at the Immortal Gate. How could there be a fake emperor? I feel that this matter isn't so simple. Emperor Yi transmitted his voice in a muffled voice. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He seemed to have figured something out. Nangong Powu said that ever since Al Warstar's accident, there were always a few unknown forces chasing after him. Who could have such a deep hand to chase him to another star field? Obviously, Al Warstar didn't have such a force. It's the extraterrestrials. Who is it? Their ultimate goal should be the Divine Martial Imperial Codex. However, they were afraid that the Divine Martial Imperial Codex could be activated at any time. They didn't dare to do it themselves. They just wanted to rely on Al Warstar's people to prove that I can't activate the Divine Martial Imperial Codex. That's why they did it. If that's the case, Jian Shui might really be the traitor. The man beside her is the real mastermind. Yi Qinghan's mind was in turmoil. However, there were still some questions that couldn't be explained. Who erased Nangong Powu's memory? If it was the man beside Jian Shui, why didn't he just kill Nangong Powu so that there would be no evidence? Screech. The god-slaying eagle's wings covered the sky and covered the sun. With a light flap, it covered thousands of miles. Heavy snow rushed in reverse. After a day, Yi Qinghan left the imperial region. He locked onto the direction and rode the god-slaying eagle to the southwest. The Qinghuang Ridge star field was extremely close to the Forbidden Grounds. It was very far from the imperial region. There were dozens of star fields in between. Even at its peak speed, the god-slaying eagle would need a day to reach a star field. Moreover, in such an environment, it would consume 90% of its power in a day. The Milky Way fell, and the stars dotted the boundless universe. It was the most beautiful scene. A huge star appeared in front of them. Yi Qinghan ordered the god-slaying eagle to descend to replenish its supplies and recover its power. Cool Flame Star. The temperature here had always been high and difficult to drop. Hence it was named Cool Flame Star. There lived a group of people from the Cool Flame race who could withstand high temperatures. This year's weather had strangely turned cold, causing the people here to huddle up in inns or at home, warming themselves by the fire and drinking wine. Yi Qinghan kept the god-slaying eagle in his body and allowed it to devour his essence blood to recover its power. He then brought Emperor Yi and Nangong Powu into an inn. The inn was packed with people. They were all adventurers who were drinking hard liquor and hugging women. The noise was so loud that it was irritating. The moment Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi stepped into the inn, the crowd strangely stopped their clamor and stared at Emperor Yi. These burly men were all people who had experienced many hardships. They had never seen such an otherworldly woman before. Moreover, she could still be blind after reaching the immortal sect realm. She was definitely one of a kind. The three of you are not locals, right? May I ask if you want to stay or have a meal? If you want to stay, I have to remind you that all the inns in the city are full now. It's hard to get a room even with money. A waiter hurriedly ran over to remind them. Fuck, what kind of weather is this? It's so fucking weird. I've lived for hundreds of years and have never seen what snow looks like. But I've seen it this year. That's right. In such cold weather, we adventurers can only go out and not enter. How are we going to survive in the future? Many of the burly men looked at Yi Qinghan and the others from the corner of their eyes and discussed loudly. Yi Qinghan brought the two of them and sat at a table with a few other people. Emperor Yi and Nangong Powu couldn't stand such strange weather. Even though Yi Qinghan had the Azure Dragon body and Origin Dao body, he still felt extremely cold. He casually ordered a few hot dishes to warm himself up. He wanted to see what these people were discussing. Perhaps there would be some useful information. I heard that the strange weather this year seems to be related to Divine Martial and Crippled Martial. I don't know if it's true or not. A middle-aged burly man suddenly lowered his voice and said, "What's Crippled Martial and Divine Martial?" Everyone was stunned and couldn't help but ask in unison. Yi Qinghan's eyes lit up. The Divine Martial Imperial Codex in his mind shook as if he had heard a shocking secret. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.